Ciao Gwenda, lo so che lo conosci questo gioco. Io finisco di fare una cosa perché sto anche io lavorando, mi hanno chiamato 10 minuti fa, mannaggia la miseria. Finisco di scrivere una nota e poi sono tutto vostro. Eccomi qua, piccole palline di pelo, che sarebbero i capelli. Che sarebbero i capelli, ovviamente. Come state? Come va là? Cosa mi raccontate di bello? E soprattutto, siete pronti stasera a sclerare? Siete pronti a schizzare gli occhi dalle orbite e spruzzare nel modo peggiore tutto? Eh? Buonasera. Ma lo volete un balletto? Ne approfittiamo che mio non c'è, così io faccio tutti i balletti quando lei non c'è. Io faccio i balletti quando lei non c'è e poi quando mi chiede i balletti non glieli faccio. Così, giusto per ridere. Wattashina, malanina. E paccatina, paccatina. È lui o non è lui? Ma certo che è lui. Il velino. La carta? Comunque ho i capelli completamente da schizzato. Soprattutto qua dietro. Qua dietro proprio. Dove sta? Eccole qua. Guardate, guardate. Sono completamente schizofrenico. Solo che non ho la luce come i bei vecchi tempi e quindi non si vede. Sembro quasi una persona normale con queste luci un po' soffuse, ma che mi illuminano correttamente, quindi perfetto. Culino, Gwenda, il mio culo purtroppo non lo avrete mai. Non si vedono, è lo sfondo scuro. Anche questa zoom, secondo te non è fatta apposta? Non è vero, è fatto tutto a cazzo di cane. Comunque ho i capelli da pazzo schizofrenico più completo, più totale. Culo! No, Gwenda, il mio culo non è in vendita. Il mio culo non è in vendita. Madonna, quanto sono belle ste canzoni, mamma mia. Il mio culo non lo avrete mai. Mai. Non l'ha avuto nemmeno una persona. E lo poteva avere perché ne aveva il diritto legale, ecco. E non l'ha avuto. Il mio culo è solo mio. Comunque, come va il turno di lavoro, Gwenda? Come sta andando? Tutto bene? Come procette? Come procetta? Come procetta? Volete vedere un'immagine che mi ha fatto Miu? Che l'ho messa ma non sono convinto. Cioè, nel senso che mi piace un casino questa immagine, ma non so come sfruttarla. Tutto bene, una fame del... Sempre sia lodato. Sempre sia lodato e soprattutto
Ah, patata.
sempre la patata sia con voi.
Ah, patata.
Che la patata sia con voi. Ma voi lo sentite quando io lancio i cose? Sì, li sentite. E tu, che cazzo di canale l'ho buttato? Vabbè. Era un cipher selvatico. No. No, Gwenda, questo è coso. È Sio.
Ah, patata.
Questo è Sio. Io me lo sono preso da un video che dei suoi, ok? Con i pupetti disegnati. Che è arrivato a un certo punto e dice: Ah, patata. Mi è piaciuto talmente tanto qualcosa che ho detto: No, lo voglio sul mio Stream Deck. Ci sta. Vi faccio vedere quest'immagine che mi ha fatta Miu. Eh? E semmai parliamone. Secondo voi, questo è... Cioè, siamo io e lei essenzialmente, ok? Perché io avevo una vecchia immagine dello staff e adesso si doveva aggiornare effettivamente. È carina, mi piace, ma dove la posso mettere? Sembrate il Team Rocket. È vero, è vero. Da notare i miei capelli, da notare i miei capelli, da notare i miei capelli, da notare i miei capelli. Sembro Goku. È bellissimo questa cosa. Jesse James. Sì, siamo noi. Dove la posso mettere? La puoi mettere come immagine appena scrive il primo messaggio Miu? Troppo complicato. Dovrei avere un bot dedicato e non ho intenzione di crearmi un bot solamente per questa cosa. Ho fatto di tutto per togliere il mio vecchio bot. Perché era diventato un'agonia quel bot. Angolino in alto a destra sopra di te, ma solamente su questa schermata qua, semmai. Potrei metterlo... Non so dove mettermi. Cioè, non... Io sarei tentato di togliere il... Questo qua. Ma tanto comunque... Cioè, questa è una barra, questo è un quadrato. Cioè, rimpicciolisci la chat. Ma voi siete i protagonisti. Scherzi a parte, facciamo un... allora, facciamo una cosa. Facciamo una cosa. Facciamo una cosa. Ecco qua. Allora, questi qua vengono con me. Noi siamo bellissimi, voi siete bellissimi sempre, e quello è il fatto. Come vi potrei mai spostare? Mi sentirei un... oh no, mi sentirei male, quindi no, no, dai. Dove sta? Dov'è? Qua. Allora, vediamo. Aggiungiamo questa immagine. Oppure levi la barra di sopra, sposti al centro sub e bit e li metti in alto a sinistra. Il che non sarebbe male, una rivoluzione un po' drastica, ma sarebbe carina come cosa, affettiva. Affettivamente sarebbe proprio una bella cosa da fare. Sarebbe proprio bello. Sarebbe proprio una cosa bella da fare. Non lo so perché sto parlando così, ma mi ricorda un po'... come si chiamava? Coso? Come si chiama? È un po' enorme. Aspetta. Aspetta, facciamo così. Ah, questo sarebbe bellissimo quando io non ci sono. Quando io non ci sono, lascio loro. Ciao. Quando io non ci sono, sarebbe bellissimo. Allora, potrei mettere effettivamente al posto della schermata. Non è questa. Al posto di un'altra schermata, vabbè, questa poi me la devo inventare. Ci metto loro. Quando non so che la scritta stiamo lavorando per voi. No, quella del bagno è iconica. Quella con la TV dei Simpson. Ma quella con la TV dei Simpson è questa. Che poi a Homer lo sentite? A Homer che canta, Gwenda, l'hai sentito? Perché mi sono reso conto ora che probabilmente non lo sentite. Lo sentiamo bene e io canto sempre. Ah, ok. Va bene, meglio così. Comunque saranno loro i conduttori del mio canale. Aiuto. Ecco, così. Qua. Non è vero. Mi danno fastidio al centro. Che va un poco sopra la chat, chi se ne frega, direi. Ma sì, ma chi se ne frega. Ecco qua. Fatto! Trovato il loro posticino. Perché sotto non lo posso mettere che diciamo, è la chat teoricamente è leggibile, cioè non si può leggere altrimenti. Invece soprattutto oramai la chat se n'è andata a fanculo, sai com'è. Però secondo me la mia idea era carina. Dovrei rivoluzionare tutto, Gwenda. Non è un qualcosa che posso fare. Ah, ma sopra c'è questo. Madonna, mi sono un po' dimenticato che palle. Sopra ci sta questo. Ecco perché non arrivate sopra tutto, hai capito? Che due palle, maledizione. Io poi me le dimentico le cose, capito? Io le cose me le dimentico. Me le dimentico. Me le dimentico. Non sopra la chat, prima del bordo, prima di toccarla. Però sempre a destra, dici. Qua? Qua? Così? Qui. Quindi qua. Qua. Mi fai morire quella che mi dici qui. Non capisco. Sono carini lì. Ok, sì, ci sta, dai. Lì effettivamente non c'è un Kaiser. Ci sta. Va benissimo, va bene. Mi piace, mi piace. Me gusta. Me gusta la patata, me gusta tu. Mi piace. Così diamo un po' di lustro a questo canale. Sempre bello Manu Ciao. No, a me piace proprio la patata. Cioè, ovviamente quella che si mangia, non fate i volgaracci come al vostro solito. Io domani mangerò gnocchetti di patata, per esempio. Già so, già so. Decoriamo il canale. Guarda, io non voglio invece troppa monnezza. Non voglio troppa monnezza, lo sai? Io sono per il minimal, completamente. È uno dei motivi per il quale quando ho questa schermata non c'è nulla. È sparito pure Zenzi. Non c'è più nulla. Perché io sono per il minimal. Qua ho fatto uno strappo alla regola, ecco. Chissà come c'è sta ancora questo, però questa roba qua, ok, non è perché voi dobbiate sapere chi è stato l'ultimo, chi ha fatto. No, è semplicemente un modo per ringraziarvi, in modo automatico, ok? Questo invece serve a me per raggiungere un dannato traguardo che oramai non raggiungo da secoli, i follower. Proprio zero, non salgono, anzi diminuiscono. Questi qua stanno diminuendo di volta in volta. Io c'ero arrivato a 600, ma stanno diminuendo di nuovo, maledizione. Il che ci sta perché secondo me in periodo pandemia si sono creati molti account Twitch e in periodo post pandemia ne sono stati dismessi secondo me circa la metà. Quindi è normalissimo e molta gente se n'è proprio andata da Twitch. Se ne sono veramente proprio fuggiti. Il che ci sta, il che c'è. Ci sta abbondantemente. Quindi per questo non è un... Confermo anche i miei amici che streamavano varietà. Ma io quando ho iniziato ci stavano un sacco di canali. Io mi ricordo veramente tante persone che facevano streaming un po' un po' alla volta. Si sono veramente. Sono tornati alla normalità, ok? E quindi non avevano più tempo da poter dedicare. E poi soprattutto hanno cambiato un po' genere, secondo me non gli piaceva molto fare streaming, ok? Lo facevano per noia. Nonostante che andavano molto meglio di noi essenzialmente, ok? Andavano veramente alla grande. Poi hanno smesso, basta. Cazzi e mazzi. Vabbè, scelte personali ovviamente. Tutto qua. Tutto qua. Ma anche a livello di viewer, Wenda. Molte persone se ne sono andate, molte persone sono... Mo lascia perdere il mio cambio di genere, ma io penso che molte persone... Madonna, i miei capelli sono orribili. Molte persone hanno smesso proprio di usare Twitch. E ci sono molti utenti che io non li vedo proprio più. Proprio zero. Allora, a me sarebbe sempre piaciuto streamare, non ho l'attrezzatura. Ma guarda, io ho iniziato a fare streaming con un Mac, che è la cosa più adatta, meno adatta per un gamer e per fare streaming. Quindi, cioè, avrei portato varietà Nintendo e avresti avuto comunque molti competitori, lo sai. Io seguo molte persone che portano solo Nintendo. Ce ne sono veramente tanti. E tutti gentildonzelle, ora che mi ci fai pensare. Poi, o sono io che seguo solo gentildonzelle, a parte Gatto, Yotobi e quant'altro, però non mi interessano i numeri, gioco sempre e mi piace giocare davanti agli altri. Ah, è un po' la mia filosofia di vita, ecco. Io sono qua non per fare le cose ufficiali, ecco. Io il lavoro ce l'ho. Sì, 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 ma io lo faccio per quello. Io veramente lo faccio solo per la compagnia, lo faccio semplicemente perché essenzialmente ho voglia di svagare. E forse paradossalmente è uno dei pochi momenti in cui io videogioco. Cioè io ho molti titoli da solo, ma non li avrei mai portato. Perché io da solo porto altri titoli. Per esempio io stavo giocando che io non avevo mai giocato a questo titolo, Gears of War. Ok, gli omaccioni che si spiattellano vicino ai muri con i fucilazzi in mano. Ovviamente non lo porto in live perché so che non mi intrigherei, non mi divertirei, ecco, a portarlo in live. Ma è semplicemente una perdita di tempo per me e soprattutto provare un gioco che non ho mai provato. In live preferisco fare altre tipologie, ma per esempio un puzzle game o un punta e clicca, io non lo gioco da solo, lo gioco in live, mi piace di più. È la scusa, è semplicemente la scusa, bravissima. È proprio la scusa, tutto qua. Veramente è solo questo. Va bene, io direi di iniziare. Ho aspettato, diciamo, un poco, ma io direi di iniziare a questo punto. Chi se ne? Avevo aspettato se c'era qualcuno interessato al gioco, alla storia del gioco. Fermiamo la musica e iniziamo. No, 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 no. Ok. Lo cattura? Lo cattura? Perfetto. Please choose a screen and subtitle language. Italiano, per l'amor del cielo. Scusatemi per il rumore dell'asta. Ok, italiano conferma. Hai già giocato ad Stanley Parable? No, mai giocato in vita mia. Regola il cursore finché il computer non è a malapena visibile. Allora, io così lo vedo ancora, lo vedo ancora, lo vedo ancora, non lo vedo più. Allora, io da qua così. In live più o meno la stessa cosa. Forse in live si vede un poco di più, quindi lasciamo un po' più visibile le cose, ecco. Così. Che così. Dovrei giocare così. Ecco, così, va bene così. Io lo conosco ma non me lo ricordo, ho visto il gameplay anni fa. Io ho visto solamente la versione originale, questa era la remastered e dice che è stato completamente riscritto, almeno credo. Almeno così ho capito che tutti quanti l'hanno rigiocato. Hanno detto, ah, è troppo bello, figo, figo. Hanno aggiunto cose, ma io non avendo visto il vecchio fino alla fine, so solamente che sono robe, ecco. Inserisci l'ora attuale. Ma davvero? Davvero l'ora attuale? Ok, sono le 21. Ah, minchia, PAM. Porca puttana. Aspetta, PM. Sono le 9. Sono le 9 col cazzo. Sì, sono le 9:58. Ok, confermo. 21. Il problema è che questo è americano. Dannati loro che hanno la AMPM. Nota, le impostazioni di accessibilità si raggiungono nel menu principale. Va bene. Campo visivo, sensibilità telecamera per l'amore del cielo, mettiamo così. Vibrazioni controller non lo uso, italiano, mostra sottotitoli, perfetto. Audio. Io sento tutto. Non è invasivo. Hai messo 20,58. Erano le 20,58. Hai messo indietro un'ora. Hai messo 20,58. Ho messo 20,58. No, ho messo 21. Ho messo le 9. Non le 8. Ho messo le 8? Non c'è qua allora. Camminata automatica. Consente ulteriori input di camminata come la camminata con una sola mano. What? Vabbè. Si sente, si sente. Zabordi, la risoluzione è la mia. Qualità alta, per l'amor del cielo. I comandi sono questi. WASD, spazio, interagisci, interagisci aggiuntivo. Abbassati, camminata automatica. Vabbè. E mi spaventa il fatto che mi hai detto che ho messo le 8. No, io avevo messo le 9. No, ho messo le 8. Non lo so, ma comunque chi se ne frega, non fa niente, va bene così. Avvia il gioco. Clicca per saltare.
Story of a man named Stanley. Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427.
Ok.
Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day of every month of every year.
Che due palle.
Although others might have considered it soul-rending, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job. And Stanley was happy. And then one day, something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget.
Addirittura.
He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened, this complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office.
Sono io, Stanley, ma cialle, non ho i piedi. Non ho i piedi. Un po' troppo sensibile, devo abbassare ancora la sensibilità, la metto a 1. Oh, molto meglio. Posso dire che questa... aspetta. Campo visivo. Ecco, 60. Molto meglio adesso. Perfetto. Posso dire che fa schifo questo ufficio. Ma poi i cosi dietro... Ma la luce... Ah, viene da là la luce. Ok. Esco dall'ufficio. Salve. C'è nessuno? Non c'è nessuno.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean?
Non
Stanley
lo so.
decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Ok, però io devo abbassare ancora la sensibilità. Mi viene il mal di stomaco. Ok. Sala meeting. E dov'è la sala meeting? Ma non sono io qua. Ah no, io sono 427. Ma ha chiuso la porta? Ha chiuso la porta? Chi l'ha chiusa la porta? Ma chi ha chiuso la mia porta? Strano. Ciao Ludo! Le finestre sono finte. Sono dei pannelli solari. Ma dov'è la sala riunioni? Scusatemi. 4B. Wow. Ma che cazzo sono finiti veramente tutti quanti? Cos'è questo? Una pianta. Bella. Là stanno facendo dei lavori. Una tazza la posso avere? Voglio una tazza. Datemi la tazza. Dove devo andare? 4B3. Che cos'è? Sales in this quarter. Project. Non puoi saltare, no, davvero, l'abbiamo disabilitato. Ho fatto un achievement.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Perché devo andare a quella a sinistra? Non voglio andare a quella a sinistra. Col cazzo che vado in quella a sinistra. Non voglio andare in quella a sinistra, io vado in quella a destra. Fa un culo le
This was
regole.
not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well.
Ah.
Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
Ah. Ok.
Yes, truly a room worth admiring. It had really been worth the detour after all, just to spend a few moments here in this immaculate, beautifully constructed room. Stanley simply stood here, drinking it all in.
Non lo sappiamo, Ludo, non lo sappiamo. Cos'è questo? First day?
Yes, really, really worth it being
No,
here
first
in the room.
dad.
A room so utterly
First
captivating
mom?
that even though all your co-workers have mysteriously vanished, here you
quella?
sit looking at these
Va?
chairs and some paintings.
Val.
Really worth it.
Sì, ho capito che me ne devo andare. Ah, ho capito. Questa tazza la posso prendere? Non me la posso prendere.
At this point, Stanley's obsession with this room bordered on creepy and reflected poorly on his overall personality.
Allora,
It's possible that this is why everyone left.
ma guardate sto
But at
coglione.
last, he'd had enough of the amazing room and took the first open door on his left to get back to business.
A sinistra. Si basa tutto sulle scelte. La prima stanza a sinistra. E invece di qua? Abbiamo capito che se attraverso le stanze si chiudono. Per tornare alle sue cose. Effettivamente forse a sinistra ricominciamo. Torniamo indietro. Vabbè, vediamo.
And so he detoured through the maintenance section, walked straight ahead to the opposite door, and got back on track.
Ah, non si è chiusa. Adesso si è chiusa.
Yet there was not a single person here either.
Ah,
Feeling
questa è la
a
sala
wave of
meeting,
disbelief,
ok.
Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
Target, push. Who moved my desk? Please keep the target on the topic of tomorrow. Complete today and finish the agenda. Right next agenda. Reflect. Employee 417 405 491 431 Gym. Ma quello è un cigno? Questo è un cigno palese. L'ho capito, Gwenda, che si basa tutto sulle scelte, però voglio capire un po' di più. Help, I'm in a post-it. Come? I see charts. Pie chart. Ma noi vendiamo quindi pie chart. Cioè noi vendiamo... Dove devo andare? Vabbè, andiamo al capo. Andiamo dal capo, dai. Voglio vederci un momento chiaro. Voglio andare dal capo. Ah, in pelle umana. Pelle umana. Executive bathroom. Voglio andare in bagno. Because the boss know that what the boss says goes. If a boss is stuffed loses, then that's what the boss choose. Cosa? In che senso? Posso prendere il sapone per le mani? Non posso prendere... È bello che l'azione, in realtà, sono io che batto sulla tastiera. Anche se io una tastiera non ce l'ho davanti in questo momento. Vabbè, andiamo. Salve. La segretaria del grande capo non c'è. Minchia. Io pagherei per fare la segretaria del grande capo. Stai qua, fai, digiti cose. Ah, non mi digita. Se mi allontano dai computer, sì. Se mi avvicino, no. Strano. Molto strana come cosa. Vabbè, andiamo nella stanza del grande capo.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this. What dark secret was being held from him? What he could not have known was that the keypad behind the boss's desk guarded the terrible truth that his boss had been keeping from him. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number. 2845.
E tu come lo sai?
Stanley couldn't possibly have known this.
2486? 2486? Ho capito bene? Vediamo. È veramente quello il PIN? Ah.
Stanley just sat around twiddling his thumbs. Trying to input anything on the device was useless, since he could never possibly know that the combination was 2845. Yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code by sheer luck. Amazing. He stepped into the newly opened passageway.
Che twist! Link Plus. Ah, devo scendere. Ok. Caricamento.
Descending deeper into the building, Stanley realized he felt a bit peculiar. It was a stirring of emotion in his chest, as though he felt more free to think for himself, to question the nature of his job. Why did he feel this now, when for years it had never occurred to him? This question would not go unanswered for long.
Ah, ok. Si è rotto l'ascensore. Cos'è questo coso giallo?
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
Inquietante. Escape. Oh no. Ma escape in che senso? Da cosa dovrei scappare? Mi stanno controllando la mente. Ma io sono curioso di andare a vedere la stanza con il grande coso. Voglio andare a vedere. Cos'è? Sono tanti numeri. Sono tanti numeri. Perché non c'è uno zoom? Vabbè.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out?
Ah. Sono tanti numeri. Employee Observation Protocol. Ah. E quindi che devo fare? Ah, telecamere.
Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them.
Siamo nella stanza di Matrix.
Where freedom meant nothing.
Perché il 219 è cancellato? Fired, licenziato. Oh. Ah, là c'è un coso. Quello sta scritto fired, quello non si sa. Oh. Questo rosso? Oh. Aiuto. Dove devo andare? Di qua.
This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly? No, he refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it.
Ma in
His
che
own life
senso?
in someone else's control? Never. It was unthinkable, wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world?
Più o
Here was
meno.
the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy or sad or content. Walking, eating, working. All of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he would dismantle the controls once and for all.
Ah, lo distruggiamo? Va bene. Mind controls idle, awaiting input. Danger, electric shock risk. Ah. Quindi che faccio? Spengo? Ma, cioè, teoricamente quindi già dovrebbe essere acceso. Off. Ho tolto la corrente, effettivamente. Ho tolto la corrente, quindi...
Blackness and a rising chill of uncertainty. Was it over? Yes. He had won. He had defeated the machine, unshackled himself from someone else's command. Freedom was mere moments away. And yet, even as the immense door slowly opened, Stanley reflected on how many puzzles still lay unsolved. Where had his co-workers gone? How had he been freed from the machine's grasp? What other mysteries did this strange building hold? But as sunlight streamed into the chamber, he realized none of this mattered to him.
Sì, infatti,
For
che ci
it was
frega.
not knowledge or even power that he had been seeking, but happiness.
Ah.
Perhaps his goal had not been to understand, but to let go. No longer would anyone tell him where to go, what to do, or how to feel. Whatever life he lives, it will be his. And that was all he needed to know. It was perhaps the only thing worth knowing. Stanley stepped through the open door. Stanley felt the cool breeze upon his skin, the feeling of liberation, the immense possibility of the new path before him. This was exactly the way, right now, that things were meant to happen. And Stanley was happy.
Finisci il gioco. Ma come? Già è finito? Completa the Stanley Parable.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean?
Ah, quindi è un
Stanley
loop.
decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Quindi è un loop.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Va bene. Ah, perché noi siamo usciti da qua poi. Quindi sono scelte relativamente fittizie.
Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
No, voglio scendere. Anzi, aspetta. Voglio salire e poi andare verso escape. Vediamo che succede. Ah, ma quindi è questo il gioco?
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication
Com'era il
of
numero?
any human life. What could it mean? Stanley
Dammi il
wondered
numero.
to nobody. He began wildly tearing through papers on the boss's desk,
4865.
pulling books off the shelf, looking behind paintings, desperate for clues to his situation. But his attention was caught by a keypad behind the boss's desk. What could its purpose be? In fact, this keypad guarded the terrible secret that lay buried below his feet. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number, 2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this. Yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code by sheer luck. Amazing. He stepped into the newly opened passageway.
Scendiamo giù ed andiamo verso l'altra uscita, arrivato a questo punto. Il gioco più veloce del mondo, comunque. Esatto. Non andiamo qua, ma andiamo di qua adesso.
Although this passageway had the word escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley would meet his violent death.
In che senso? Perché avevi trovato una morte violenta?
The door behind him was not shut. Stanley still had every opportunity to turn around and get back on track. At this point, Stanley was making a conscious, concerted effort to walk forward and willingly confront his death.
Dove sono?
As the machine whirred into motion and Stanley was inched closer and closer to his demise, he reflected that his life had been of no consequence whatsoever. Stanley can't see the bigger picture. He doesn't know the real story, trapped forever in his narrow vision of what this world is. Perhaps his death was of no great loss, like plucking the eyeballs from a blind man. And so he resigned and willingly accepted this violent end to his brief and shallow life. Farewell, Stanley.
E addio, è stato un piacere. No? Niente
Farewell,
addio?
Stanley, cried the narrator, as Stanley was led helplessly into the enormous metal jaws. In a single visceral instant, Stanley was obliterated as the machine crushed every bone in his body, killing him instantly. And yet it would be just a few minutes before Stanley would restart the game, back in his office, as alive as ever. What exactly did the narrator think he was going to accomplish?
Sono due voci, una maschile e una femminile. Oh, mamma mia.
When every path you can walk has been created for you long in advance, death becomes meaningless, making life the same. Do you see now? Do you see that Stanley was already dead from the moment he hit start?
Che bello, però sembra più un mausoleo questo che... Le due porte. La stanza con le due porte fu il primissimo prezzo di design di Stanley Parable. Ah, ma questo è un museo! Aspetta, vado a prendere l'acqua che mi stavo affogando, però effettivamente non mi sto più affogando, però voglio andare a prendere comunque un poco d'acqua e torno. Riecchime. Riecchime. E... ok. Quindi questo è un museo. Quanti finali hai fatto? Uno, l'ho finito. Cioè, sono arrivato alla stanza del mind control, ho spento la macchina e basta. Si è abbeverato? Mi sono abbeverato, grazie Ludo. E adesso invece di andare nella stanza del mind control sono voluto scappare, stavo per morire perché mi stavo schiacciando, ma una voce femminile in realtà mi ha portato qui, ecco. E ora sto cercando di capire che cos'è questo posto. La stanza con due porte fu il primissimo pezzo del design di Stanley Parable. Una volta creato, il resto del gioco emerse con una sua estensione, un'esplorazione della contraddizione posta da questa stanza. Ah. Ah, perché questo era il mio ufficio, probabilmente. Ecco, perché si parte dal mio ufficio, si va di qua, effettivamente, si va ancora di qua, sì, e io entro nella stanza delle due porte, vero, vero. Il ritmo di questa sezione di apertura doveva essere preciso. Questo corridoio è stato spostato e modificato per fare in modo che il giocatore arrivasse alle due porte al momento giusto. Ah. Bravissimo, grazie, ho finito un altro gioco, Bibi, hai visto? Adesso è tutta discesa, posso interromperlo quando cazzo voglio io questo, non mi sentirei più in colpa, ecco. Disposizione degli uffici, questo progetto mostra gli uffici all'inizio del gioco. Ehm, aiuto. La strada dall'ufficio di Stanley alle due porte fu la prima parte del gioco ad essere costruita. Le varie sezioni sono state aggiunte e modificate nel corso dello sviluppo, ma la disposizione di base rimane quasi identica alla prima versione. Ah, perché mi stanno dicendo essenzialmente com'era la versione originale, quindi. Capito, capito. Computer di Stanley. È un museo comunque. E queste porte? Queste porte non portano da nessuna parte. Ufficio, l'ufficio. Suoni dei pulsanti. Una sezione di suoni quando vengono premuti i pulsanti. Ogni suono è un mix tra il battito di una tastiera sull'altra e un tuono sintetizzato. Carino. Ti sei commosso? No, no, no. Ma questo è Freesell. Installation Chart Pro 2.1. Ah. Ops. Scusatemi, non volevo. Employee Database. Ho spento tutto. Spento tutto. Vado a destra. Ufficio del capo. Immagini tratte dalla fase di sviluppo dell'ufficio del capo. Ah! Oh, che carino. Ma lei che è sistemista mi spegne le cose durante l'installazione? Un minimo. Orologio dell'ufficio. Ah, bello. Ma forse io non dovrei vedere tutte queste cose, probabilmente. Perché effettivamente io molte cose non le conosco. La sala relax, Zona sotterranea, una prima versione della parte del gioco che si svolge sottoterra. Ah, vedi, vedi, vedi.
It's the kind of thing you'd pick up on intuitively if you had even the most fundamental understanding of good and bad game design. But of course, you being you, you'll probably spend the next hour trying to solve it. Now look closely, Stanley. See how it's impossible for the player to do anything in this room? Perfect example of poor level design, textbook mistake. It's the kind of thing you'd pick up on intuitively if you had even the most fundamental understanding of good and bad game design. But of course, you being you, you'll probably spend the next hour.
Ok. Ma io non so se sono qui in modo corretto. Finale della libertà. Questo è quello che ho fatto io. Esatto. Scrivania sala countdown. Non l'ho vista questa. Non la voglio vedere. Exit. Facciamo una cosa.
Oh, look at these two. How they wish to destroy one another. How they wish to control one another. How they both wish to be free.
Chi è la signora? Chi è la signora? Ma? Zona di guerra. What? Ma forse non lo devo leggere comunque. Ah. Ok.
Can you see? Can you see how much they need one another? No, perhaps not. Sometimes these things cannot be seen. But listen to me. You can still save these two. You can stop the program before they both fail. Push escape and press quit. There's no other way to beat this game. As long as you move forward, you'll be walking someone else's path. Stop now and it'll be your only true choice. Whatever you do, choose it. Don't let time choose for you. Don't let...
Non l'ho fatto di proposito. Ed ora? Di proposito, no, potevo fare tranquillamente esci e torna al menu. Cioè, hai perso. Sì, sì, certo. Ma no, era per vedere i finali. Era per vedere i finali.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Quindi siamo andati sull'escape, va bene, abbiamo visto che essenzialmente c'è qualcosa che non va, ok. Allora, non voglio salire, voglio scendere. Ma possibile mai che non c'è una modalità zoom per vedere che cosa c'è scritto? Hi Lenny. Lenny? Il problema è che non ci vedo. Io il problema è mio che non ci vedo. Fai uno screenshot. Bibi, te lo mando. Non me lo fa fare, lo sai? Bibi, ti sto mandando la cosa. Tieni. Allora, andiamo di qua.
But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss. Admitting he had left his post during work hours, he might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished? His boss would think he was crazy. And then something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. All of my co-workers blinking mysteriously out of existence in a single moment for no reason at all? None of it made any logical sense. And as Stanley pondered this, he began to make other strange observations. For example, why couldn't he see his feet when he looked down? Why did doors close automatically behind him wherever he went? And for that matter, these rooms were starting to look pretty familiar. Were they simply repeating? No, Stanley said to himself, this is all too strange. This can't be real. And at last, he came to the conclusion that had been on the tip of his tongue. He just hadn't found the words for it. I'm dreaming, he yelled. This is all a dream. Oh, what a
È un
relief
pazzo
Stanley felt
schizofrenico
to have
comunque.
finally found an answer, an explanation. His co-workers weren't actually gone. He wasn't going to lose his job. He wasn't crazy after all. And he thought to himself, I suppose I'll wake up soon. I'll have to go back to my boring real-life job pushing buttons. I may as well enjoy this while I'm still lucid. So, he imagined himself flying and began to gently float above the ground. Then he imagined himself soaring through space on a magical starfield, and it too appeared. It was so much fun, and Stanley marveled that he had still not woken up. How was he remaining so lucid? And then perhaps the strangest question of them all entered Stanley's head. One he was amazed he hadn't asked himself sooner. Why is there a voice in my head dictating everything that I'm doing and thinking? Now the voice was describing itself being considered by Stanley, who found it particularly strange. I'm dreaming about a voice describing me, thinking about how it's describing my thoughts, he thought. And while he thought it all very odd and wondered if this voice spoke to all people in their dreams, the truth was that, of course, this was not a dream. How could it be? Was Stanley simply deceiving himself, believing that if he's asleep, he doesn't have to take responsibility for himself? Stanley is as awake right now as he's ever been in his life. Now, hearing the voice speak these words was quite a shock to Stanley. After all, he knew for certain, beyond a doubt, that this was in fact a dream. Did the voice not see him float and make the magical stars just a moment ago? How else would the voice explain all that? This voice was a part of himself too. Surely, if he could just... He would prove it. He would prove that he was in control, that this was a dream. So he closed his eyes gently, and he invited himself to wake up. He felt the cool weight of the blanket on his skin, the press of the mattress on his back, the fresh air of a world outside this one. Let me wake up, he thought to himself. I'm through with this dream. I wish it to be over. Let me go back to my job. Let me continue pushing the buttons. Please, it's all I want. I want my apartment, and my wife, and my job. All I want is my life exactly the way it's always been.
Che noia,
My
madonna.
life is normal. I am normal. Everything will be fine. I am okay.
Sì. Non è successo
Stanley
niente.
began screaming. Please, someone, wake me up. My name is Stanley. I have a boss. I have an office. I am real. Please, just someone tell me I am real. I must be real. I must be. Can anyone hear
Ma
my
esplodo.
voice? Who am I? Who am I? And everything went black.
Sono morto?
This is the story of a woman named Mariella.
Cosa?
Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, gathered her belongings, and walked to her place of work. But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. And although she would soon turn to go call for an ambulance, for just a few brief moments, she considered the strange man. He was obviously crazy. This much she knew. Everyone knows what crazy people look like. And in that moment, she thought to herself how lucky she was to be normal. I am sane. I am in control of my mind. I know what is real and what isn't. It was comforting to think this, and in a certain way, seeing this man made her feel better. But then she remembered the meeting she had scheduled for that day, the very important people whose impressions of her would affect her career, and by extension, the rest of her life. She had no time for this, so it was only a moment that she stood there, staring down at the body. And then she turned and ran.
Ok, va bene. Hi Lonnie, ho scritto questo durante il primo semestre e l'ho lasciato nel tuo armadietto durante il secondo semestre. È ciò che tutti i ragazzi fighi fanno. Ho deciso, scrivimi indietro. Inoltre qui c'è un'idea se vuoi disegnare qualcosa. 2 gattini su una motocicletta. Grazie Bibi. Era altamente essenziale che tu mi traducessi quel foglio di carta, altrimenti sarei impazzito proprio come Stanley e avrei fatto una brutta fine. Sarei morto su un marciapiede con una donna che mi fissava il mio culo. Il mio culo è mio. Il mio culo è solo mio. Come ho detto prima a Gwenda. Sì, Gwenda voleva il mio culo. No, non è vero. Ehi, questa è una buona idea. Quello che i ragazzini fighi stanno veramente facendo è mandare gli uni agli altri pagine nel loro qualcosa che non riesco a leggere. Ma noi siamo più fighi di loro. Perché provate a indovinare? Loro non possono permettersi questo, il foglio. Nel loro qualcosa che non riesco a leggere, il disegno dei gatti su una motocicletta. Grazie, bebè. Tu sì che sei... Tu proprio, ti meriti un regalo, guarda. Ti meriti un regalo, ti meriti questo. No, non è vero. Ti meriti questo.
Ah, patata.
Ti meriti una patata, ti meriti una patata. 5 euro di PayPal? Troppo, Bibi. Sì, so.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Domanda. Quindi siamo saliti e siamo scesi. Quindi la stanza di sinistra basta, non dobbiamo fare più niente. Adesso direi di andare a destra e fare tutto quello che c'è da fare a destra.
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Wow, yes, this room. What a beautiful room. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Allora, teniamo tornare a sinistra e andando diritto torniamo a quello di prima. Mentre invece poi ci sarebbe l'ascensore che scende, ho visto, ma noi andiamo di qua. Cos'è?
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
Ma come ti permetti? Cos'è qua? Oh. Do not jump from the cargo left while it's motion. Penalty for mouse of cargo left. Penalty for jumping off. Come penalty? In che senso? Cioè, se io cado e muoio, perché mi dovete fare anche la multa? Fatemi capire.
Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here.
In che
I'm not
senso?
your enemy, really, I'm not. I
No.
realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult. But the
Certo.
fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this
Sì.
time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about.
Di te?
Please, stop trying to make every decision by yourself. Now, I'm not asking for me, I'm asking for her.
Per lei. Ok.
This is it, Stanley. Your chance to redeem yourself. To
Che
put your
senso?
work aside. To let her back into your life.
In che
She's
senso?
been waiting.
Ma chi? Chi mi sta aspettando? Il buio?
That's her, Stanley. You need to be the one to do this. To reach out to her. Oh, no, you can't. Did you just unplug the phone? No, that wasn't supposed to be a choice. How did you do that? You actually chose incorrectly? I didn't even know that was possible. Let me double check. No, it's definitely here, clear as day. Stanley picks up the phone. He's taken to his apartment where he finds his wife, and the two pledge themselves to one another. Music comes in.
Oh no, potevo tornare a casa.
Not picking up the phone is actually somehow an incorrect course of action. How is that even possible? None of these decisions were supposed to mean anything. I don't understand. How on earth are you making meaningful choices? What did you... Wait a second. Did I just see... No, that's not possible. I can't believe
la quarta
Why had I not
dimensione.
noticed it sooner? You're not Stanley. You're a real person.
Sta parlando con me.
I can't believe I was so mistaken. This is why you've been able to make correct and incorrect choices. And to think I've been letting you run around in this game for so long. If you'd made any more wrong choices, you might have negated it entirely. It's as though you completely ignored even the most basic safety protocol for real-world decision-making. Or did you not grasp the severity of the situation? Well, I won't have that kind of risk on my watch. I'm going to stop the game for a moment so we can educate you properly on safe decision-making in the real world. Please observe this helpful instructional video.
Choice. It's the best part of being a real person. But if used incorrectly, can also be the most dangerous. For example, in this scenario, a hypothetical real person named Rupert has a choice. He could invent a machine that eliminates food shortages across the world to make life better for all people. Or he could spend years of hard work forgetting how to read. Which choice would you make? Remember
Esatto,
that
Gwen.
unlike here, the real world makes sense, and at no time should you make a choice that does not conform to rational logic. If you find yourself speaking with a person who does not make sense, in all likelihood, that person is not real. Allow the person to finish their thought, then provide an excuse why you cannot continue talking. Turn to a partner and practice saying, "My goodness, is it 4:30? I'm supposed to be having a back, sack, and crack." Excellent. Making choices on a regular basis is the best part to a healthy decision-making process. Most medical professionals recommend making at least 8 choices per day.
8
If
scelte
you
al
make more than
giorno.
8, less. And finally, if you begin to wonder if your choices are actually meaningful and whether you'll ever make a significant contribution to the world, just
Sì.
remember that in the vast infiniteness of
La
space,
vastità del
your
cazzo che
thoughts
ce ne
and feelings are
va.
materially
Sì.
insignificant, and the feeling should subside. At this time, your instructor will guide you in an exercise to test and reinforce the material covered in this video.
E chi sarebbe il mio?
Welcome back. You may
Ciao.
have noticed that this room has begun to deteriorate as a result of narrative contradiction. But not to
Sì.
worry. Now that you're properly informed on good decision-making, we're going to revisit a choice you made just a few minutes ago and see what the correct thing to do would have been. This way, please.
Devo tornare proprio indietro?
Now that we know your choices are meaningful, we can't have you jumping off the platform and dying. Imagine the main character dying senselessly halfway through the story. That story would make no sense at all. We just need to get you home as soon as possible before the narrative contradiction gets any worse. Unfortunately, it seems this place is not well equipped to deal with reality.
Mi hanno messo le protezioni per non saltare. Per non saltare. Se mi butto giù così? No. Puoi saltare comunque? No, non posso saltare. Io ho fatto un achievement che ho provato a saltare. E mi hanno detto no, 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 no. Hanno fatto proprio così. Con il ditino. Hanno detto no, 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 no. Tu non puoi saltare. Cazzo, mi hanno messo veramente tutte le protezioni. Non posso fare più da nessuna parte. E dove vado? Ah, proprio di qua? Ah, ma proprio indietro mi stai facendo tornare? Cazzo.
Almost there. You'll take the door on the left, back to the correct ending, the story will have resolution once again, and you'll be home free in the real world. Now remember, all you need to do is behave exactly as Stanley would. That means choosing responsibly and always putting the story first. I'm quite sure you'll be up to the task. Just follow my lead and you'll be fine. All right. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. No! Why did you do that? Quickly, hurry back in the other direction. Perhaps we're not too late.
Sto rompendo il gioco.
Oh, it's ruined. I can't believe, after everything we talked about, that my story, you've destroyed my work. Why?
È bellissimo.
What did you get out of that? What did you think was so special about seeing the game undone, left here like so much garbage? It's worthless now. And what am I supposed to do? Even if there were a way to continue, would it be worth it? To know that my story is now incorrect? How can I go back to that? I can't erase that knowledge. I'll have to live with it forever, reliving its impossibility forever. I couldn't live that way. Is it better to shut the game down entirely? To willingly destroy all of my work? I don't know. What's the answer? What do I do? What do I do? What do I... No, I have to. I have to shut the game down. I have to. I have to. I'm here. I'm still here in this pile of rubbish, with you, who thought you were so clever. Now look where we are. My entire game is destroyed. It was the only thing in the world that was mine, and you've run it into the ground. What?
È colpa mia, fammi capire.
You just had to see?
Sì.
Didn't I impress upon you how important it was to be like Stanley?
No.
He actually knows how to do what I tell him to. He understands that if I say to do something, there's a damn good reason for it.
Ah,
That thought hadn't even occurred to you, had it?
no.
That there's a world outside of you. You're a child.
Sì, sono un bimbo.
Oh, my story. If you'd just gone through the door on the left, you would have seen it. There was a whole underground facility. You would have destroyed it and been victorious. It would have been so perfect. I worked so hard on it. I tried so hard to make... behave exactly as Stanley would. That means choosing responsibly and always putting the story first. I'm quite sure you'll be up to the task. Just follow my lead and you'll be fine. All right. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. No! Why did you do that? Quickly, hurry back. Behave exactly as Stanley would. That means choosing responsibly.
Resetta il gioco.
Putting the
Che
story first.
stronzo.
I'm quite sure you'll be
Che
up to the task.
stronzo.
Just follow my lead and you'll be fine. All right. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Vabbè, andiamo a sinistra, dai.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief,
Allora,
Stanley decided to go
adesso
up to his
però...
boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
No, io non voglio né salire.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Non mi fa scendere più. Perché non mi fa scendere? Mi fa solo salire. È cambiato qualcosa. Qua non c'è più il bagno. È cambiato qualcosa. È cambiato l'ufficio. È cambiato l'ufficio.
Stepping inside his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this, until he saw the door with a voice receiver next to it. Surely behind this door lay all the answers to his questions. And beyond all probability, he knew the passcode. He had seen it on his boss's computer just last week. Night Shark 115. Was this the code to open the door? Would it still work? There was only one way to find out. Stanley had been trained never to speak up, but now he would draw from within himself the courage to face the unknown. He drew a sharp breath and then spoke the code.
Please speak clearly into the receiver. Ma che significa?
Stanley spoke the code. Night Shark 115.
Ma che significa squalo notturno 115?
Right there on the wall.
Squalo notturno 115.
I'm sorry, is there a problem? You
Sì.
didn't mishear me, did you? Please speak the code into the receiver. Otherwise we can't get on with the story. This is a crucial step.
Cretino, non c'è l'accesso al mio microfono, quindi che cazzo vuoi?
Okay, fine, you're not gonna do it, but you know what? It's pretty humiliating to bring you this far, only for you to suddenly decide.
Ma non è
what
vero,
things to
Bibi.
do. I asked you for this one single thing, for your respect. The kind of respect Stanley shows for his choices. He knows what it means to take a story seriously. If you didn't want to see
Purtroppo essere informatico so benissimo che il gioco non c'ha accesso al mio microfono. Anche perché sarebbe complicato in questo momento. Si è incazzato.
Stanley came to a set of two open doors. He entered the door on his left. Stanley? Hello? Are you... Is everything okay? Stanley, please. I need you to make a choice. I need you to walk through the door. Are you listening to me? Can you hear me? Is everything all right? Stanley, this is important. The story needs you. It needs you to make a decision. It cannot exist without you. Do you understand me? Whatever choice you make is just fine. They're both correct. You cannot be wrong here.
Vanno bene entrambe.
I'll accept whatever you do. I simply need you to take that step forward, please. Choose. Do something. Anything. This is more important than you can ever.
Buona pappa, Gwenda.
I need this. The story needs it. So, you hear me? Are you there? Are you listening to this? Stanley,
Are you there? Mi sente?
Okay. It's okay, I can wait.
I can't
You
wait.
need time to decide. Time to make sure your choice is correct. That is the best choice. That's all right. I'll wait for you to decide what's the right.
Come mi
thing to
dispiace
do.
l'eroe in niente pizza per te.
Take as much time as you need.
Ok. Va bene.
Someone was following Stanley. He was sure of it. If he checked over his shoulder now, he would surely catch them. It was only a matter of time.
In che senso? Era sicuro che qualcuno lo stesse seguendo? Scusami? Qualcuno mi sta seguendo. Io in realtà sto scrivendo su una tastiera, come al solito. Salta. Non posso saltare, come salto? Come salto, Bibi? Non posso saltare. Scherzo. Se potevo saltare avrei fatto tante cose.
When Stanley came to a set of two open doors, he entered the door on his left. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well.
Allora, dove andiamo? Allora, io ho una mezza idea. Allora, abbiamo detto che
a work of art. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Allora, torniamo sempre di qua. Ma questa volta
Following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago. But in his eagerness to prove that he is in control of the story and no one gets to tell him what to do, Stanley leapt from the platform and plunged to his death. Good job, Stanley. Everyone thinks you are very powerful.
ok, lo dovevo fare, diciamo.
Stanley wondered to himself. Minutes? Days? Centuries? Did something crucial happen while my senses were turned? He made a note to be more careful with time from now on. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Oh,
This
cazzo.
was not the correct way to the meeting room, and
Non ci
Stanley
vado.
knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to
Bravissimo,
admire it.
grazie Bibi.
Standing now in this incredible room, Stanley but eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Voglio fare una cosa,
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
Allora, questo sale. Allora, se vado diritto, se ho capito bene, non mi ricordo mo se vado diritto se c'è un'altra stanza. Quella è aperta, effettivamente. Quindi potrei sfruttare la questione. Però se salgo sopra... Oddio, non mi ricordo. Se salgo sopra poi che succede? Non mi ricordo. Salgo sopra e ci sono altre scelte da fare? Ma come faccio a vedere quanti finali ho fatto fino adesso?
Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really.
Dagli achievement.
I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but in his eagerness to prove that he is in control of the story and no one gets to tell him what to do,
Secondo me non si può
Stanley
fare.
leapt from the platform and plunged to his death. Good job, Stanley. Everyone thinks you are very powerful.
O se vuoi te lo posso spoilerare. In che senso? No, no, io voglio sapere
Workers were gone.
a quanti siamo. Perché mica sto mantenendo il conto. E quello è il problema. Non ho mantenuto... Ma è una nuova zona questa. Ma è cambiato il corridoio? Ma è cambiato il corridoio?
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
C'è un finale che te lo dice comunque, ti spoilerò questo. Ok.
Stanley felt lightheaded, butterflies in his stomach. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left. Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
Allora, io non mi ricordo che cosa c'è là, però
Stanley, I
sicuramente...
think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. What? Really? I was in the middle of something. Do you have zero consideration for others? Are you that convinced that I want something bad to happen to you? Why, I don't know how to convince you of this, but I really do want to help you, to show you something beautiful. Look, let me prove it. Let me prove that I'm on your side. Give me a chance.
Dimmi. Qual è la tua chance? Farmi entrare in una porta? 2B3. Ah, io queste porte le vedevo dai corridoi di sopra.
Now listen carefully, this is important.
Oh.
Stanley walked through the red door.
Col cazzo impanato e fritto. No, io vado in quella blu.
Aha, perhaps you misunderstood. Stanley walked through the red door.
Col cazzo impanato e fritto, forse è tentecchiare.
I still don't think we're communicating properly. Stanley walked through the red door.
Sono daltonico. Se vado di qua? Questa qua? Questa c'ha una tessera.
All right, fine. Go ahead, Stanley. You want to know so badly what's out there? You want to find out what lies at the end of this road you've chosen? Well, don't let me stop you. You see? There's nothing here. I haven't even finished building this section of the map because you were never supposed to be here in the first place. Broken rooms, exposed developer textures. Is this what you had wanted? Was it worth ruining the entire story I had written out specifically for you? Do you not think I put a lot of time into that? Because I did. And in the end, it was all for nothing. Because this is what you wanted to see. Help me here, Stanley. Help elucidate these strange and unknowable desires of yours. What would have made this game better? What did you want to see? Vehicles? Skill trees? Work with me. You've given me absolutely nothing so far. Tell you what. Let me take a stab in the dark at a new design, and you can give me some feedback. There we go. A third option. This already feels leaps ahead of where we were before. Go ahead, Stanley. Take it for a spin.
Cazzo, la terza opzione.
Okay, I'm going to stop you there. Now, tell me about your experience with this new version. Would you say that the game benefited from allowing you more choices? Feel free to be honest. I'm looking for some real critical feedback here. A 1? If you had reservations, you saw ways the game could be improved to more fully express itself mechanically and artistically, but a 1? That's not even helpful. What am I supposed to do with that? But I guess it isn't my place to judge. Here, based on the data from your previous playthrough, I've compiled a new version. And to be perfectly candid, I think I've knocked it out of the park with this one. Let's take a look.
Cosa? Come il leaderboard? Ma sono veri! Credo. No, non sono veri. This is you, Stanley. Che figata. This is your superior. And the rat is offline. Ma fammi capire, mi ha lasciato la terza porta? Mi ha lasciato la terza porta. Aspetta.
Now, would you say that competitive leaderboard helped you feel motivated to keep walking through doors? Again, honest answers, please.
Stanno di qua. Ti do un 2.
Hey, I nearly forgot. I've got a prototype of a new game I've been working on, and now would be a lovely opportunity to give it some playtesting. You wouldn't mind taking a look at it, would you? Perfect.
Certo.
Let me boot it up. In this game, the baby crawls left towards danger. You click the button to move him back to the right, and if he reaches the fire, you fail. It's a very meaningful game, all about the desperation and tedium of endlessly confronting the demands of family life. I think the art world will really take notice.
Come il mondo
Of course, the
dell'arte.
message of the game only becomes clear once you've been playing it for about 4 hours. So why
Fai
don't
quello
you
che
give it 4
penso.
hours of play
Oh, ammazzo
to
il
make sure it's
bambino,
effective?
ovvio.
Be sure to keep notes on your experience.
Ciao.
You heartless bastard. Did you do it because you hate babies or purely to spite me?
Più per la
If it was the
seconda.
latter, well, I don't know what to do. I'm completely out of ideas. I can't think of a single thing that might improve the experience for me. I'm not even going to try. I'm out. I'm done. It's over.
Come
Thank you
andò?
for playing. Your input
Ma-
was extremely valuable. Oh, hey, since my game was so awful, why don't we play someone else's game? Just to ease the pain. Let's see. What do we have here? Yes, this seems like it'll work. Let's give it a shot.
Che mi carica.
Aha! Fascinating. What do you think this game is about, Stanley? What's our backstory? What is our motivation?
Ma io lo conosco sto
Obvious
gioco.
to me that you are meant to play as a creepy man spying on innocent civilians below you from up high in your creep tower, perhaps for some sort of twisted erotic purpose.
Sono gli stessi creatori.
Yes, that must be it.
È
It's a fascinating
Firewatch.
adventure into the experience of total mental depravity. So far, I love everything about this game, Stanley, and it seems there's even more. Come, let's venture outward and see what else is out there.
Ma veramente sono degli stessi creatori, Bibi? Allora, che paura, cos'era? Allora, questo non mi ricordo se era Firewatch. Mi ricordo semplicemente il campfire. Cioè, mi ricordo che la mappa stava al centro. Mi ricordo alcune cosine, il letto. Mi ricordo questo. C'era anche un gioco della 626.
No, it can't be.
Che ha detto? Non ho capito. Mi ricordo che c'era un gioco pure della 626 comunque, che è horror. No, it can be.
Yes, it's an open world game. Good God, quickly block it off. Oh, thank goodness, Stanley. What a close call. You nearly wandered off into that thing, that big open, just wandering around, no right or wrong directions, no path to follow. You can just go in any... Oh, thank heavens we avoided it. We're out of the woods now, Stanley. Okay, I'm going to get us out of here. Let's find another game. Preferably something with walls. Something with nice, big, insurmountable walls. Okay, I think this will be just the thing.
Non ci passa a niente. Ma è Rocket League?
Wonderful. See, this is exactly what I had in mind. Just a nice big box for you to run around in. There isn't any possibility that you could get lost here. Now this is game design. Stanley, if you manage to get lost in this game, I will be phenomenally impressed.
No, infatti. Non sono i creatori di
Okay,
Rocket
so what
League.
exactly
Ma c'è il
do
logo
you
di
do?
Rocket
Let's see.
League.
There are lots of cars here in the back, but obviously there's no racetrack. Okay, I'm seeing that there's a ball of some kind back here. Is this game sports ball? Stanley, I think it's sports ball. Oh, what fun. We shall run the bases and do a touchdown together. Yes, I think surely we must. Okay, Stanley, here's the ball. Have fun.
Ma veramente? Ah, se tocco la palla. No, veramente.
Are you doing it? Are you winning? Is this fun? Is it better than my miserable little story that I worked so hard on? Stanley, I have a thought. and I realize I'm not a sportsologist, but if one ball generates a certain amount of raw adrenal pleasure, then surely multiple balls makes for an even more euphoric sports experience. I'm going to try it out. Here comes another ball. Yes! Oh goodness, that really does feel amazing, doesn't it? Stanley, I'm like a child in a confectionery shop. I simply have to have more. I'm insatiable. More balls! Are you enjoying this, Stanley? Hold on. What are you doing? Stanley, don't do that. I can't follow you there. I can't help you. How will you write a story without me? You can't do it. You know that. Stanley, come back. You still have so much...
È spettacolare come gioco. Non mi aspettavo una tale profondità. Cioè, non me l'aspettavo proprio. Non so perché, mi aspettavo semplicemente che tenevi molte più opzioni, molte scelte. Questo è... quello a sinistra mi sembra videomontaggio, video editing. E anche quella a destra mi sembra una schermata allora, a sinistra audio editing e a destra video. È sempre la stessa. Attenzione.
I wonder what he found. If what he wanted was to be the leading man in his own story, well, perhaps he's gotten it. Down in wherever he is right now. I wonder if he's happy with his choice, and if he's learned the heavy cost that comes with it. He'll understand soon what I was trying to tell him. He needs me. Someone who will wrap everything up at the end, to make sense out of the chaos and the fear and the confusion. That's who I am. That is what I mean to this world. Oh, yes. Yes, I'll be back. There's no other way. Once this ends, after it all comes to a close, then I'll be back. The end will be here soon. Very soon. I can wait.
Anche io posso aspettare. Ok. Aspetta, c'è un telefono che sta suonando.
Hello. This is a recorded message scheduled either by you or a person in your place of work. The purpose of this message is to warn you about the dangers of recorded messages. If at any time you believe you are listening to a recorded message, please terminate it immediately and cease all flow of information from the recorded message into your perceptual sphere. Thank you, and have a pleasant day.
Ogni volta che stai ascoltando un messaggio registrato, ti prego interrompilo. Ho capito bene? Ho capito bene? Non stavo ascoltando, grazie Bib. Posso risentire? No, non penso, non credo. Vediamo. Nope. Mi dispiace. Ah, tranquillo, figura. Gnucco.
Oh, New content? What does that mean, new content?
Dove stiamo
Hello,
andando?
and thank you for playing the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe. As you may know, the Stanley Parable was a video game released in 2013 on home computers. After receiving critical and commercial success, it was expanded upon in 2022 with the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, a reimagining of the game for consoles and home computers. The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe features exciting new content that broadens and expands the world of the Stanley Parable, delighting audiences the world over.
Bene.
Please, step inside and see what thrilling new adventures await in the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe.
Oh, well, this sounds delightful. I'm very excited to see the thrilling new Ultra Deluxe content.
Perché ho paura che in realtà non ci siano questi next content? Perché ho paura che in realtà non ci sono?
Okay, so far it's an elevator. Nothing special yet, but I'm sure it's just the beginning of a mesmerizing adventure.
Addirittura.
Is it broken? What's going on here? Should we be moving somewhere or... Oh, there we go. All right, finally, at long last, it's on to the new content. I've never been more ready. Let's do it.
Vediamo, vediamo.
I have to say, initial impressions of Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, mostly tedious. It's as if Oh, okay. Let's see the content. Give me the content, Stanley.
Give the content.
All right, let's see. It's the jump circle.
Posso saltare quindi? No, che stronzi! Mi hanno dato solamente il cerchio per saltare. Che stronzi! Che figli di
Is that it?
puttana!
Surely that's not all the new content. There has to be something else, right?
Che figli di
Another elevator.
puttana!
Stanley, I have to say, initial impressions of this game are not positive. It's just elevators and jumping. Is this what passes for exciting new content? If this is new content, then I could just read you the whole dictionary. There's 20 hours of new content right there. Hell, I could count to 30 trillion. You could put that on the box. The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, now with over 1,000 hours of new content. And oh, wait. There's more. Very good. Yes. I knew there had to be something else. Let's see it. I'm ready for whatever it is. That's it? Oh, you've got to be kidding me. You see, Stanley? This is what happens when greedy video game developers with no respect for their fan base rush a cheap expansion to market for no reason other than to make an easy dollar. And don't get me started on the level of craftsmanship that's gone into it. In fact, I'm looking right now at the game's achievements, and it's hard to believe one of them actually says, "Test achievement, please ignore." What quality assurance department signed off on this? I'm infuriated and I'm offended, and I intend to find these people on Twitter and hold them
Su Twitter. Aggiornati, amico mio, non esiste
It's my
più
fault,
Twitter.
Stanley. I built up too much anticipation around the new content, I'm afraid. It could never have lived up to such expectations. If you're still with me, why don't we just reset the game and we'll try to get back to what the Stanley Parable is really about. No frills, no gimmicks. Just you and me having a great time together like always. What do you say, friend?
Nuovo? Mi piace il nuovo.
Psst. Stanley, come over here. In the vent. I want to show you something.
Sunset. No, io voglio vedere quello che c'è. Ah, di qua torno al vecchio. Aspetta. Andiamo. Voglio vedere.
Okay, you remember how cheap and unsatisfying the new Ultra Deluxe content turned out to be? Well, it got me thinking about the past and how much better the Stanley Parable used to be. So I made something special and tucked it away here where the game's developers won't find it. Just our little secret. Take a look.
Che cazzo è? Ma... sei troppo felice. Vabbè.
I call it the memory zone.
Aspetta, io questo me lo ricordo.
Favorite memories so I can relive the peak experiences of my life whenever I want. Experiences like the launch of the Stanley Parable on PC.
Ma io me la ricordo sta casa. Questo forse è sempre Fire Cazzi. Certo, Elden Ring. No, non è Elden Ring.
You see, Stanley, doesn't the memory zone remind you of how wonderful Stanley Parable was before it was sullied with a cheap re-release? Remember back in October of 2013, when the game originally launched? Back then, video games had integrity. Back then, it all meant something. Oh, the waste.
Ma che bello, cioè si sono fatti il loro... però questo no. The British Academy of Film Television Art. No, ragazzi, questo non è... The Last of Us! C'è scritto The Last of Us sotto. Scusami, questo? Posso aprire? Non posso aprire. Che è sto cosa? La pagina di Steam! La pagina di Steam di Stanley Parable in russo. In russo. Cioè in russo, in basso a sinistra. Vabbè. 20:13. È un po' sbagliato questo orario. Vabbè, comunque. Dollaro. Lo posso pigliare sto dollaro? Memory Lane. Ah, questo è l'LP, cioè la canzone di Stanley Parable. Sì, questa me la ricordo. Demonstration, la demo. Don't play for 5 years. Unarchivable. No, fammi sedere. Non mi volevo... Fermato da dei fiori.
And over here is where I keep reviews of the Stanley Parable. Like this stunning triumph of games journalism, 10 out of 10 from Destructoid.com. James Stephanie Sterling writes, and I quote, "Where so many games that aspire to be more than games end up less than any form of art, Stanley Parable strives and then succeeds to be every game ever created." Did you hear that, Stanley? Every game ever created.
Sì, vabbè, ma mo
That's
è
how
troppo.
grand and all-encompassing the original Stanley Parable
Troppo,
was.
troppo.
It was literally every game
Adesso
ever
stai
created.
esagerando,
It was
amico mio,
Stanley, it
te
was
lo dico.
Persona 3, it was all of them, and now it's nothing. It's no games at all. It isn't even the Stanley Parable anymore. It's just a husk now.
Husk.
A lifeless husk with an
Husk.
hour of new elevator content.
Original. Oh. Dai, aprimi sta porta, maledetto. Knowing your city. No, non me la fa aprire. Oh, lui è Stanley e lei è la donna. Ah, questo è come disegnano il gioco. Vedi, vedi. Carina come cosa. Si sono fatti il loro museo personale.
This time from GameSpot.com. The Stanley Parable is both a richly stimulating commentary on the nature of choice in games and one that offers some of the most enjoyable, surprising, and rewarding choices I've ever been confronted with in a game. 9 out of 10. Don't you get it, Stanley? The game was perfect. It didn't need anything else. It didn't need new content. It just needed to be left alone, to spend the rest of time collecting dust in the hallowed hall of beloved video game memories.
E come ci vado di qua? The Serious Room. Niente. Come ci vado? Di qua torno indietro.
These were simpler times, Stanley. But I wouldn't give to go back, to have it all over again. Wait, hang on. I don't recall this part of the memory zone before. What's this? What's down here? Oh no. Oh God, no. Stanley, it's a collection of reviews from Steam, the online video game distributor. I haven't looked at these in years. I can't even imagine what's been collecting down here. Surely these reviews were glowing as well, weren't they? Honestly, I could not be bothered to play this game to full completion. The narrator is obnoxious and unfunny, with his humor and dialogue proving to be more irritating than entertaining. Unfunny! I'm not trying to be funny. I'm trying to make a serious work of art. I suppose I could write up a handful of gags to insert into the Stanley Parable, but the game is already such a densely layered web of profound philosophical insights that I can't even imagine where I'd have the room to stick them. Okay, let's see what this one says. While the idea for the game is good, for someone who prefers non-linear games, this preachiness gets annoying fast. Preachy? Stanley? I'm not preachy, am I? You can tell me if I'm preachy. Honestly, you can. Oh, goodness. This is actually quite shocking for me. I always work, to be honest.
È bello che abbiano integrato tutto questa parte così.
You can't know how much fluff I cut from the game to get it to feel as light and airy as it... Well, I always thought it did. But maybe it wasn't. Dear, what an awful memory to have to hold on to. These black marks are my otherwise unimpeachable track record. I feel like a failure. Like I let these people down. Perhaps the Stanley Parable isn't quite as sterling as I always remembered. What's this one got to say? You constantly have to stop doing anything so the narrator can catch up with his long-winded explanations of what's happening. I wish there was a skip button. A skip button? Well, yes. Yes, I think we can do that. If I'm truly too preachy, then maybe letting you skip ahead for just a moment, surely it couldn't hurt. Not if it means we can strike these negative reviews from the record. Only positive reviews of the Stanley Parable. That's my motto today, and it's always been my motto. I'd do anything for the customer, Stanley. Yes, a skip button we shall have. And here it is. Go ahead and give it a shot. I'll pop you forward in time so that the second my incessant droning starts to bore you, with just the push of a button, you'll have zipped right past it. It's what the players have been asking for, and I'm very proud to have delivered. No more listening to me rambling on and on and on. No. The Stanley Parable is a game for the people. And if the people want silence, then by goodness, that's what they're going to get. Well, don't sit around waiting for me to shut up. Go ahead and make me shut up. Here, we'll pretend that I've just begun an interminable monologue, and it goes something like this. The story and the choices, or what have you, and therefore, by becoming it is, so on and so forth, until inevitably, we all until the end of time, at which time everything
Lo
all
faccio
at once,
parlare,
so,
non mi
now you see,
interessa.
blah, 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 blah. We've eaten too much and it can't be just yet. No, no, until 245. That the logic of elimination working backwards, the deduction therefore becomes impossible to manufacture. It went on for nearly 10,000 years, until just yesterday, here and there, forward and back, and never a moment before lunchtime. It can't be. It's the only thing there is. How many billions left until so much more than forever ago? Which is why I say... the story and the choices, or what have you, and therefore, by becoming it is, so on and so forth, until inevitably, we all until the end of time, at which time everything all at once, so, now you see, blah, 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 blah. We've eaten too much and it can't be just yet, no, no, until 245.
È un loop comunque.
That the logic of elimination working backwards, the deduction
È un
therefore
loop,
becomes
che questa cosa
impossible
già
to
l'ha
manufacture.
detta.
It went on for nearly 10,000 years, until just yesterday, here and there, forward and back, and never a moment before lunchtime. It can't be. It's the only thing there is. How many billions left until so much more than forever ago? Which is why I say... Oh, you're back, you see. You were only frozen in time for a few minutes, but it was plenty of time for me to deliver a long, rambling monologue full of unnecessary verbal flourishes and lengthy ruminations.
Io in realtà lo stavo ascoltando, maledetto lui.
Of course, I happen to believe it was perhaps one of my more profound such ruminations. Not that, of course, you need a description of it, but... Oh, well, there, sport. You really did catch me rambling on a bit, didn't you? But that's the power of the button. The minute I start to go off on a thoughtless display of self-absorption, it's right at your fingertips to go poof, and it's all over. Oh, I can't wait to see what Cookie 9 will say about this, and whether they'll edit the Okay, welcome back, Stanley. Now, I should say that the amount of time the button has been skipping through is becoming longer and longer. That last one was, well, I want to say maybe 30, 45 minutes? It's not unendurable by any means, but it's, well, there's really only so much I can wrap. Stanley, please don't push the button again. It's been 12 hours. You've just been frozen there. I don't know why the skips are getting longer, but they're really, truly getting longer, and my God, there's no way out of the room. Stanley, the door is gone. It's completely gone. I've looked at it from every angle. I've checked every one of those walls 1,000 times. And there's no door, Stanley. There's no door. There's just you and the button, and if you keep pressing it, I have no idea what will happen. I have no idea how long I'll be made to sit here, and more... Oh, Stanley. Back. Oh, my goodness. I have someone to talk to again. Stanley, I think it's been a week. Or 2 weeks. I've been sitting here all that time, just sitting here, not a single person to speak with. And you'd think that that's just how it's always been, right? Me? Oh, hello, it's you. You're here again. Welcome. I have had time to think about you and about us and about everything we've been through. I've had so much time. I stopped keeping track after a year. Have you ever sat down in one place and not moved for one entire year? Let me describe it for
No, io non lo odio. Io l'avrei sentito per un bel po' di tempo, ma il problema è che lui vuole che io prema il pulsante. Andando a fuoco qualcosa. Il narratore penso che sia morto arrivato a questo punto.
But they didn't understand the game was never meant to be funny. It was meant to have a point. It was meant to speak to the human condition. But where are the jokes? Where are the jokes? They bemoaned, they screamed, they gnashed their teeth and said, entertain us. It wasn't enough. They had to leave a pathetic little thumbs down review and make all of their pitiful
Ciao mio, come stai? Sto cercando un'uscita. Tutto bene, tutto bene.
The end is never the end, is never the end, is never the end.
Si è rotto il narratore.
The end, never the end.
Oh no, abbiamo rotto il narratore.
The end is never the end, is never the end, is never the end.
Sta piovendo. Ma si dovrebbero rompere i tubi, quindi. Ecco qua, abbiamo rotto i tubi. Come rompi i narratori tu? Ah, io non li rompo nessuno. Come rompo io tutto. Però non posso continuare ad uscire, nonostante abbia rotto tutto qua. Si sono rotti solo i tubi. Sento il vento ma non lo vedo. Ecco. Ok. Perfetto, ma posso uscire? Ok. Cos'è questa? Una bobina. Ok, con gli rampicanti forse devo uscire. È diventato notte. Ma che fine hanno fatto le piante? Le piante che fine hanno fatto? Sono morte di nuovo? Scusami? Oh, no. Paura. Andiamo via. Oh no, si è rotto il pulsante. Ah, possiamo cadere adesso. Possiamo fuggire? Possiamo andare via. Che bello. Bravissimo, sei morto. Dettagli, Bibi, mamma mia. Ok. Bene, siamo tornati al nostro caro buon vecchio.
What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed.
L'unica cosa è che io non sto facendo achievement effettivamente. Quindi new content. Guarda come l'hanno messo enorme. New content. Ah no? Eh no.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his
Allora, noi dobbiamo
This was
completare un
not
attimo una
correct way to the
strada.
meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly
Noi
well.
dobbiamo completare un
Perhaps
attimo
he
una
wanted to stop
strada.
by the employee lounge
Il
first,
new
just to
content
admire
lo
it.
vediamo dopo.
The lounge was grand, majestic, perhaps, but eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Allora, mi sembra che entrambe le strade le abbiamo fatte, quindi. sia a destra che a sinistra, no? Quindi proviamo di qua.
And so he detoured through the maintenance section, walked straight ahead to the opposite door, and got back on track. But Stanley didn't want to go back to the office. He wanted to wander about and get even further off track. So now in order to get back, he needed to go,
Si è perso pure il narratore.
left.
E non voglio andare left, voglio andare right, maledetto.
Oh, no, it's to the right, my mistake.
Che stronzo.
No, not the right. Why would I have ever said it was to the right? What was I thinking? It's clearly... Oh dear, would you hold on for a minute, please?
Sto sbagliando le pagine.
Right,
Dove devo andare, scusami?
left, right. Yep, okay, yes. I've got it now. This story is absolutely, definitely this way.
Ah, sei sicuro? Se mi aprivi quella. Sei sicuro? Se vado di qua?
No. This isn't right at all. You're not supposed to be here yet. This is all a spoiler. Quick, Stanley, close your eyes. Okay. We just have to get back to, oh, who am I kidding? It's all rubbish now. The whole story completely unusable. How about, rather than waste my time trying to salvage this nonsense, we'll just restart the game from the beginning.
E
And this
niente.
time, suppose we don't wander so far off track, Okay, from the top.
E niente, me l'ha resettato. Va bene, quindi se scendo giù... Ok.
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Ma siamo sicuri che a destra ho fatto tutto? Siamo sicuri che...
Wait, what? No, I restarted. I swear, I definitely restarted the game over, completely fresh. Everything should be... Oh, did something change? Stanley, did you change anything when we were back in that room with all the monitors? Did you move the story somewhere, or...
Non ho fatto nulla.
Why am I asking you? I'm the one who wrote the story. It was right here just a minute ago.
Questa era la schermata di finale, infatti l'ho fatta.
Okay, then.
Ci sono andato nella
Come,
schermata.
Stanley, let's find the story.
Non c'è niente.
I'll say it. This is the worst adventure I've ever been on. I can promise you there definitely was a story here before. Do we need to restart the game again? Well, I find it unlikely that we'll ever progress by starting over and over again, but it's got to be better than this. Okay, let's give it a shot. Why not?
E niente.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Ok. Non c'è
Okay,
stanno.
it's worse. I might be remembering this wrong. It's possible the story is back where we just came from. Why don't we go back the other direction and see if we missed anything?
Prima non erano accesi quei due terminali.
Aha! I knew we'd miss something. The story. Here it comes. No, wait. Never mind. Not the story. Okay, let's head back the other way and retrace our steps.
E niente. Dove cazzo siamo?
Well, I'll be honest, I don't recognize this place at all. Is this the story? I don't think so. I can't quite recall, but I believe my story took place in an office building. Is that correct? Do you remember, Stanley?
Sì, me la ricordo.
Since I've completely forgotten what we were supposed to be doing, how about this? You win! Congratulations! I know you put in a lot of hard work, and it really paid off. So, good job.
Grazie.
Oh, no.
Grazie mille.
No, I don't feel right about this at all. We both know you didn't put in any actual work for that win.
Fatti i cazzi tuoi, narratore. Non fatti i cazzi tuoi. Fatti i cazzi tuoi.
I'm weirded out by whatever this place is. I don't care what might happen this time. I have to restart.
No. E niente.
All right, I've got a solution. This time, to make sure we don't get lost, I've employed the help of the Stanley Parable Adventure Line. Just follow the line. How simple is that?
Che strozzo, mi ha disegnato la linea per terra. Ehi! Mi ha aperto la porta!
You see? The line knows where the story is. It's over in this direction. Onward, Stanley, to destiny. Though, here's a thought. Wouldn't wherever we end up be our destination, even if there's no story there? Or to put it another way, is the story of no destination still a story? Simply by the act of moving forward, are we implying a journey such that a destination is inevitably conjured into being via the very manifestation of the nature of life itself? Whoa. Hang on. That got a bit weird back there. Well, I'd like to apologize. Not sure where I was going with all that. You know what? I think what we need right now is a bit of music to lighten the mood. Wait, cut the music. Go back and look at that fern.
La falce.
Wait, what? We're back at the office? No. Line, you do know we're looking for the Stanley Parable, right? The story? Is any of this ringing a bell? Oh, no, not again. Line, how could you have done this to us? And after we trusted you, after everything we've been through, you... No, I can't take this anymore. To hell with it. Restart.
Ricominciamo. Sono d'accordo con il narratore, ci stava, devi rimetterla. E niente.
You know what, Stanley? I say forget the adventure line. What's it ever done for us? We're intelligent
Oh no, mi ha
people,
chiuso
right?
la porta,
Why
mo?
can't we make up our own story? Something exciting, daring, mysterious.
Sì, dammi il mistero,
Sounds
sì.
perfectly doable.
Aprimi
Why
questa
don't we
porta,
simply
dai.
start wandering in, well, I don't know. How about this direction?
Lo sapevo che mi aprivi questa porta. Non lo sapevo.
Now, yes, this is exciting. Just me and Stanley forging a new path, a new story. Well, it could be anything. What do you want our story to be? Go wild. Use your imagination. Whatever it might be, Stanley, I'm ready for it.
Un elefante gigante.
Oh, no, not you again.
Oh,
Stanley, I'd also like to veto the line from having any role in our awesome new story. No lines or monitor rooms. Just don't acknowledge it, and we should be fine.
Ma che vuoi? La linea è una linea. La linea, se vuole comparire, compare. Se non vuole comparire, non compare.
Ah, a choice. We get to make a decision. From here, the story is in our control. How important we mustn't squander the opportunity. In fact, I believe I need a minute to think here. Just walk in circles for a minute. Okay.
Che senso?
So I know that each door has to lead somewhere, which means that somewhere at the place where we're trying to go, there must be a reverse door that leads here. And that in turn means that our destination corresponds with the counter-inverted reverse door's origin. So starting from the right, let us ask, will taking the right door lead us to where we're going? And since the
E se
answer is
vado
clearly
contro la
then by
freccia?
all accounts, the door on the right is the correct one. Another victory for
Vado
logic.
contro
Come,
la
Stanley,
freccia.
our destiny awaits.
Sì, ma io voglio andare altrove. Vabbè, andiamo. Finale della confusione. Ah!
You're telling me that's what this is? It's all one giant ending? And we're supposed to restart the game, what, eight times? That's really how all this goes?
Ritrovare la linea.
Determined? So now, according to the schedule, I restart again. Then what? Am I just supposed to forget? Well, what if I don't want to forget? My mind goes blank simply because it's written here on this thing, wall. Well, who consulted me? Why don't I get to decide? Why don't I get a say in all of this? Is it really? No, it can't be. I don't want it to be. I don't want the game to keep restarting. I don't want to forget what's going on. I don't want to be trapped like this. I won't restart the game. I won't do it. I won't do it. I won't do it.
I won't do it.
And the timer stopped? Does that mean, did we do it? Did we break the cycle?
Lo pensi tu?
Whatever it is that made this schedule. How
Lo
would we
pensi
even
tu?
know? Will someone come for us? Will something happen?
Nessuno ci verrà a dire niente.
Okay. I guess now we just wait. You know, I suppose in some way that this is a kind of story. Wouldn't you agree? I'm not quite sure if we're in the destination or the journey, though they're always saying that life is about the journey and not the destination. So I hope that's where we are right now.
Quanto
We'll find out,
profondo.
won't we? Eventually. Well, in the meantime, if you just...
Che paura.
All of his
Quindi?
confidence had gone. What could it mean?
Che cosa c'è
Stanley decided to go to the meeting
rimasto?
room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
New content non lo pensiamo per ora.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well.
Quindi
Perhaps he wanted to
sappiamo che
stop
se
by the employee lounge first, just
voglio
to admire it.
scendere,
And here it was, the lounge. What a room, Stanley thought. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
allora se scendiamo giù abbiamo detto che perdiamo. Se vado diritto torno alla cosa, se vado di
Stanley was so
qua
bad at following directions
non
that
mi
he
ricordo
forgot what he was
sopra
5 years ago.
se c'erano altre scelte. Saliamo.
Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not.
Quando mai ti ricordi? Ma sono troppi finali, troppe scelte, non me le ricordo.
The story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's
All
someone you've
this
been neglecting,
time.
Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about. Please. stop
Ah,
trying to
il
make
fatto
every
del
decision
telefono.
by
Sì, voglio rispondere al
yourself.
telefono.
I'm not asking for me, I'm asking for her.
Te lo chiedo
This
per
is it,
lei.
Stanley. Your chance to redeem yourself, to put your work aside, to let her back into your life. She's been waiting.
Ok.
That's her, Stanley. You need to be the one to do this, to reach out to her.
Vediamo.
Oh, Stanley, is that you? Hold on, sweetie. Sorry to keep you waiting. I'm just pulling the bread out of the oven.
Certo.
All right. Okay, there we go. All right, now, I want you to come in and tell me all about your day.
Gotcha. Oh, come on. Did you actually think you had a loving wife?
Figlio di
Who'd want to commit their
puttana.
life to you? I'm trying to make a point here, Stanley. I'm trying to get you to see something. Come inside. Let me show you what's really going on here.
Fammi vedere. Che vuoi?
This is a very sad story about the death of a man named Stanley.
Buongiorno impiegato 426. Premi T sul dispositivo tastiera. Non lo voglio premere. Posso fare poco, effettivamente. Ciao moglie molto manichinosa.
Stanley is quite a boring fellow. He has a job that demands nothing of him, and every button that he pushes is a reminder of the inconsequential nature of his
Che
existence.
figlio di puttana, che stronzo. Sto premendo gli altri pulsanti. Non glielo premo, non glielo premo. Stanley era un sistemista.
Look at him there, pushing buttons, doing exactly what he's told to do. Now he's pushing a button. Now he's eating lunch. Now he's going home. Now he's coming back to work. One might even feel sorry for him, except that he's chosen this life.
Sto premendo tutto il resto, non gliela voglio dare vinta. Non gliela voglio dare vinta, maledetto. È uno stronzo maledetto. Niente.
But in his mind, he can go on fantastic adventures. From behind his desk, Stanley dreamed of wild expeditions into the unknown, fantastic discoveries of new lands. It was wonderful. And each day that he returned to work was a reminder that none of it would ever happen to him. And so he began to fantasize about his own job. First, he imagined that one day while at work, he stepped up from his desk to realize that all of his co-workers, his boss, everyone in the building had suddenly vanished off the face of the earth. The thought excited him terribly.
Prego, premi Z per passare del tempo con i ragazzi.
So he went further. He imagined that he came to two open doors and that he could go through either. At last, choice. It barely even mattered what lay behind each door. The mere thought that his decisions would mean something was almost too wonderful to behold.
Premi P per preparare la cena.
As he wandered through this fantasy world, he began to fill it with many possible paths and destinations. Down one path lay an enormous round room with monitors and mind controls. And down another was a yellow line that weaved in many directions. And down another was a game with a baby. And he called it the Stanley Parable.
Quindi in realtà ha scritto stesso lui il gioco, e stesso lui Stanley.
It was such a wonderful fantasy, and so in his head he relived it again, and then again, and again, over and over, wishing beyond hope that it would never end, that he might always feel this free. Surely there's an answer down some new path, mustn't there be? Perhaps if he played just one more time. But there is no answer. How could there possibly be? In reality, all he's doing is pushing the same buttons he always has. Nothing has changed. The longer he spends here, the more invested he gets, the more he forgets which life is the real one.
Mi ha fatto pensare che esistono le crostatine, me ne porti una? Ma ovvio, ma io ti ho chiesto, fammi sapere cosa ti serve. Però facciamo un elenco, che altrimenti mi dimentico. Mi scordo. Non ne voglio un pacco, voglio una crostatina. Io non posso comprare una crostatina. Il resto te le mangi tu. Dalla regia mi dicono che vogliono un pacco di crostatine. E non solo quelle.
that in this world he can never be anything but an observer. That as long as he remains here, he's slowly killing himself.
Ma come?
But he won't listen to me. He won't stop. Here, watch this. Stanley, the next time the screen asks you to push a button, do not do it. You see? Can he just not hear me? How can I tell him in a way that he'll understand that every second he remains here, he's electing to kill himself? How can I get him to see what I see? How can I make him look at himself? I suppose I can't, not in the way I want him to. But I don't make the rules. I simply play to my intended purpose, the same as Stanley. We're not so different, I suppose. I'll try once more to convey all this to him. I'm compelled to. I must. Perhaps, well, maybe this time he'll see. Maybe this time. And I tried again, and Stanley pushed a button. And I tried again, and Stanley pushed a button. And I tried.
Bene. Perfetto. Chiedi a Bibi di leggere bene? Bibi, leggi bene, per l'amor del cielo.
All of his co-workers were gone.
Ok, ma...
Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Ma io a quanti finali sono arrivati fino adesso? Cioè, io ho sbloccato solamente 3 achievement. Quindi... Ma veramente ci stanno degli achievement folli? Troppi comunque. Vi faccio vedere. Allora, c'è questo achievement che dice rieccoti qui, esci dal gioco e poi riavvialo. Clicca sulla porta 4:30 per 5 volte. 8. Achievement di prova da ignorare. Descrizione dell'achievement di prova da sostituire. E dice che l'hanno fatto giocatori con questo achievement il 21%. Questo per esempio non saprei come farlo. Campione mondiale di impostazioni. Regola tutti i cursori scorrevoli nel menu su tutti i numeri disponibili. Metti il turbo. Completa The Stanley Parable in meno di 4 minuti e 22 secondi. Resta fuori, non giocare a Stanley Parable per 10 anni. Questo so come potrei farlo. Dedizione. Gioca a Stanley Parable per un intero martedì. Un po' difficile, diciamo. Allora, posso toccare tutte le... Lo lasci aperto. Questo pure è vero. Sempre che tocchi. Però vedi, per esempio non mi ha dato... Per esempio l'achievement 888888888. non saprei come farlo. Cioè, sto premendo non so quante volte 8, ma non è quello. Sicuramente non è quello il coso. Cerca guide. No, vabbè.
You notice my sign. Yes, I have something very exciting to show you.
Vediamo. Vediamo che cosa ha da mostrarmi. Quindi prima o poi mi porterà di là. Ok. Vediamo che cosa mi vuoi mostrare.
You see, Stanley, I've been reflecting on the Stanley parable and about how roundly disappointing this ultra deluxe version has turned out to be. The original Stanley parable was a landmark, and any new content for it should live up to that legacy.
Ma già me l'hai
So
detto.
forget this ultra deluxe nonsense. I say we take it one step even further. Which is why I'm very proud to announce for the first time ever the Stanley Parable 2. Yes, you see, isn't this far superior to a measly re-release with a few minor additions? Think of all the new territory we'll cover with a fully fledged sequel. An entirely new experience, built from the ground up. Why, there are so many possibilities. It could go in so many different directions. This is what fans have truly been asking for. Calling it the Stanley Parable 2 is just so much catchier than Ultra Deluxe, don't you think? Ultra Deluxe? What does it even mean? But the Stanley Parable 2, now that's an artistic statement right there. It's future-oriented. It screams progress and innovation and long-term franchising potential. Now, to be clear, I haven't quite nailed down what exactly
Test the
Stanley
sequel.
Parable 2 is going to be, but let's take a look at some of the features I've been developing for it. I figure that if I can loosely organize a handful of interesting concepts, that surely the game will sort of naturally spring up around them. It'll all work itself out. Game development is much more of a fuzzy magic than anything scientific or logical, really.
Non mi fa andare, dico, volevo andare. New content. Ma è un... Ma quanti asset a casaccio ci ha messo? Porca puttana.
Here we are. Go on, try out some of the new features.
Cos'è il bucket? La... come si chiama? Decorazioni per ufficio. Il secchio rassicuratore. Il pulsante che dice il nome del giocatore che sta giocando. Voglio il pulsante. Voglio il pulsante.
For the Stanley Parable 2, I asked myself, what do players really want? And of course, the first and most obvious answer is
Too
they
big,
want to
too
be
small,
individually
just right.
recognized and validated as people. So with that in mind, my first addition to the game is this button which speaks the name of the person playing the game. Isn't that wonderful?
Jim.
Sorry, I should have clarified. Right now, the button only says the name Jim.
Che
Of course, in the final
stronzo.
game, this button will say your name, whatever name that is. Here, let's have you role play as Jim to really simulate the full experience.
Fai
of
finta
this
di
feature.
essere
Just
Jim.
play along. I promise you'll love it. Okay, here we go. Let's take a deep breath, clear your mind, forget whoever you are, and simply become a person named Jim. I want you to imagine yourself
Mi chiamate
living
Jim
as
in chat, per
sleeping and
favore.
waking as
Chiamatemi Jim.
falling in
Jim.
love and being heartbroken as
Chiamatemi
Jim,
Jim,
seizing all of the
per
world's
favore.
possibilities
Così
as
mi
Jim,
immedesimo
and as
meglio.
Jim, watching your dreams crumble into dust. Do you
Sono
feel
io.
deeply?
Sì, sì,
Are
sì,
you
sono
really,
io.
truly Jim right
Sono
now?
io, sono io.
If so, then please
Mi
step
sento
forward and
Jim.
press the button.
Mi sento Jim. Sono Jim. Jim. Ok, sono Jim.
Jim.
Oh.
Yes, you see? What a thrill, what a rush. That was you. The button described you. Do it again, do it again. Jim. Ooh, it hits even harder the second time. If this were the only new feature in the Stanley Parable 2, it would still be worth the money.
Fosse questa l'unica cosa.
I'm too
Più o meno,
emotionally
insomma.
drained from all of this personal validation. Whoa there, cowboy. Sometimes a person can be too much, Jim. I'm putting the Jim button away. Otherwise, soon you'll start to lose all sense of who you actually are.
E niente. Non mi vuole far divertire, maledetto. Jim. Ma io volevo il pulsante Jim. E niente.
I suppose I
Vabbè,
could allow only people named Jim to play the Stanley Parable 2. That would actually save me the work of finishing this feature.
lo sapevo. Questo non screenshot. Decorazione per ufficio. Buco infinito. Voglio il buco infinito.
Okay, I'll be honest, I haven't yet decided on this one. I think that in the new version, the office could use a bit of decoration, like balloons. But I'm undecided on Get Well Someday and Happy 12th Birthday. Which would you go with?
Sto facendo degli screenshot, Sto facendo gli screenshot, voglio vedere che cosa mi dice. Get well someday. Happy Thursday steep knees. Ah. Quale vogliamo? Questo.
You know, sometimes when you solicit another person's opinion, it makes you realize that you knew which one you actually really wanted all along. Happy 12th birthday, step-niece it is. Or actually, maybe I should have gone with... No, I've made my decision, we're moving on.
Che stronzo. Free new easy achievement. Cosa? Aspetta. Di che sei? Ah, the jump circle. Questo ne è un altro, ancora.
You know what? Let's bring the jump circle back for Stanley Parable 2 as well. It's... Oh, wait. You already spent all your jumps the first time we saw the jump circle?
Sì.
Oh well. I suppose it can just be a nice decorative piece then.
E niente. Andiamo a vedere questi nuovi achievement facili. Pull the lever, receive your new achievement, no more step.
Now here's something special. You remember that broken test achievement that got left in the game on accident? Well, I'm developing a technology to simply give you the achievement. Yes, you see, you'll come to this lever, and when you pull it, the achievement will be given to you. It's as simple as that. Okay, perhaps I should have clarified. This is technology that will exist. Right now, the achievement is still fully broken. I'm not a wizard, Stanley, but I guarantee it will be fixed in the sequel to at last satisfy the hordes of ravenous fans all over the world who have been uproariously demanding this feature. Gamers, we hear you, and I promise it will happen.
Perché mi ha dato per un secondo la possibilità di scrivere? Ok. Qua. Ah, perché c'è la leva. Ok. Non è che devo fare qualcosa? senza il mio achievement facile. Sono triste. Mi è buggerato.
What other exhibits haven't we seen yet?
I collezionabili. Wow.
Collectibles. Now it's a real video game. In the Stanley Parable 2, you'll run around gathering up these miniature Stanley figurines. And what's truly innovative is that there will be no reward for collecting all of them. I don't want to stifle the intrinsic joy of watching a number go up. You simply collect all of them, and then you move the hell on with your unremarkable life.
Che stronzo, guarda.
God, it really is the worst when you collect everything in a video game and then they give you a big fancy reward for it. Absolutely tragic.
Che c'è qua? Uscita. Ma abbiamo visto tutto, no? Voglio il... l'Infinite Hall. Esatto. Voglio il buco senza fine. Voglio il buco senza fine. Datemi il buco. Sì, sì, la spiegazione del buco. È qua per il buco?
Stanley, here's
Eccolo
an
là.
idea that I'm truly fond of. It's never been done before in a video game. This is in fact a hole that you can fall down forever. That's right. Infinite falling. You can fall until the end of time if you like. A stunning leap forward for video games as a medium.
Ma lascia una scala che sale. Oh, che palle. È pure chiusa la porta. Se invece di qua. No, è chiusa. Di qua. C'è la rezza. Niente. Vabbè. E buco senza fili se il buco senza fine sia.
You see, isn't it wonderful? One of my more ingenious concoctions, if I do say so. Now then, since you've gotten to see the infinite hole, you can press the teleport button to pop back up to the top, and we can continue onward. Now, I don't mean to be a bummer, but I do recommend you use the teleport button to go back to the top. Maybe do it on the sooner rather than later spectrum of things.
Certo.
Okay, Stanley. I don't know quite how to say this tactfully, but it's possible that I slightly exaggerated the infinite nature of the hole.
In che
It's a very,
senso?
very deep hole. To be certain it is. It's an extremely deep hole.
Va
I
bene,
wouldn't
un
want to
buco
say
senza
that it isn't
fine.
An astonishingly deep hole it is. Is it infinite? Well,
Sì.
that sort of depends on your definition of infinity. From one perspective, the infinite is merely philosophical in nature. It's more of a... Okay, well, good for you. You found the bottom of the hole. You found me out, Stanley. I'm a liar and a cheat, and you're so clever. Look, I think the issue here is just
Sapevo.
that you're unusually fascinated by falling. What normal person actually wants to fall infinitely?
Ma ci stanno le
I
sigarette
figured the
qua.
hole was as deep as anyone would actually need. Don't you put this on me. Maybe you're the problem.
Tu sei il problema, non io.
Look, things got a little heated there. I think
Eh.
we both said some things we didn't mean. Why don't we just put all this behind us and agree to just call the whole most
Pressoché
If
infinito.
that works for you, then go ahead and press the teleport button to warp up to the top of the hole and we
Va
can move
bene,
on. I'll
va
just be
bene.
up here when you're ready.
Vediamo se mi chiede scusa. Mi chiederà mai scusa? Mi chiederà mai qualcosa? O non mi dirà mai proprio nulla? Vediamo.
Great. Now, I'm very excited to show you even more of my ideas for the sequel.
Aspetta fino a martedì. Esatto. Vabbè. E quindi questa è... Aspetta, vediamo se ci ricado.
Oh, for heaven... You see, I was right. The problem is you. The problem is that you like holes too much. Not normal. A normal person would have said, yep, that's an infinite hole right there. Goes on forever till the end of time. Don't need to see it all, but not you. Oh, no, 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 no. You have a weird sort of...
A chi non piacciono i buchi?
Did the hole seem even shorter to you this time? I couldn't help but feel like you spent a little less time in there than you did before. I mean, admittedly, I didn't make an infinite hole, but I didn't think it was that not infinite.
Si sta rimpicciolendo.
Well, once again, there's nothing to do here. If you decide you've had enough of the hole, you can hit the teleport button and come join me up above.
Si sta rimpicciolendo.
Had enough? I'm positively thrilled. Gosh, how could I have guessed? You're back in the hole. If this starts to become a thing where... Wow. Okay. Yes. I'm starting to become extremely certain that the hole is not only not infinite, but that it's growing steadily less and less infinite. I suspect that I'm starting to hit the point where it's no longer feasible to call the hole infinitely deep, even by the lax overall standards for accountability in marketing. What's going on here? Stanley, I have no
Continuo,
explanation
certo che
for the
continuo.
uncertain nature of the hole's length. Here, let's try something. Let's pop back up to the top and we'll see if it gets any shorter.
Ah, vedi, me lo propone stesso lui.
There it is. The shame of my lie has come to haunt me. Not only is the hole not infinite, but it's at this point. It's more of a concavity, or even a very
Una
aggressive dip.
fossetta.
How is this still appealing to you? I know you're obsessed with holes, but at this depth, I just can't see this scratching the itch. Oh, who am I to judge?
Non
You
posso
just do what
salire.
already is your
Non
duty.
posso
Hit the
salire.
teleport button when you're ready to move on.
Non posso risalire. Non funziona.
Is the teleport button
Lo
not
sapevo.
working?
E non funziona.
I really don't have an explanation. It was working just a moment ago. Try it again.
Sì. Non
Still
funziona.
nothing? Well, I suppose there is one thing I can do to fix this. I'm out. Goodbye, Stanley.
E come
I couldn't
andarmene?
bear to be away from the hole, and now you'll get more time with it than you could ever have asked for. It's a win for everyone. You get
Addio.
to be with the hole. I get to do literally anything else.
Va bene.
Take care,
Addio.
Stanley. I hope
Ciao,
you and the
narratore.
hole have a wonderful rest of eternity together.
Bene. Quindi siamo rimasti solo noi. Meeting al secondo. Va bene. Questo. Cosa sta succedendo? Every pause button is a Roman numeral 2. Beh, vero. Just the two of us can make if you try. Just two of us. Che sta succedendo? È una canzone, ma non so il motivetto. Cambia la tua percezione. Cambia ciò che sei. Metti la canzone che ti è passato.
Stanley! Stanley! Oh, good, you're awake. It seems you had sort of dozed off there, drifting away into dreamland. But we can't have that, Stanley, because this hole is just so darn fascinating that I want you to be wide awake for every second.
Mo la metto, Bibi, mo la
I don't
metto.
want to miss a single moment. So how about if I just pop in from time to time and wake you up to keep you really, truly focused on the hole? From the looks of things, you and I will have many, many years here in this hole, and I'm looking forward to all of them. Stay alert, Stanley. I'll be back. Toodlepip.
Come, scusami? Turupi? Allora, mettiamo la canzone di Bibi. Mi ha tolto il testo. Mi ha tolto il testo, Bibi. Questa era la canzone di Bibi. This is... Grazie, Bibi.
Here we are. Go on. Try out some of the new features.
Allora, il nome l'abbiamo provato. Mi manca solo il bucket. E poi abbiamo finito. E poi onestamente chiudiamo perché è la mezza, porca
A
paletta.
common complaint of the Stanley Parable was that it was confusing and paradoxical, that it engendered a chaotic sense of reckless despair in those who played it. Well, I'm happy to say that after much consideration, I've engineered a clever solution to this fundamental problem with the game. It's the Stanley Parable Reassurance Bucket.
Ma
You
che
see, Stanley,
serve?
anytime you're holding the bucket,
Eh?
a sense of calm and ease will fill your mind and your heart.
Ma perché?
As long as you hold on to the bucket, the many disorienting contradictions of the Stanley Parable will feel perfectly normal and perhaps even comforting. You may even
okay.
come along for the gentle embrace of jarring cognitive dissonance while the bucket is in your arms. And to be honest, it's a much more convenient solution for me than actually redesigning the game to be less uncomfortable. Can you imagine what a pain in the ass that would be? Yes, the bucket is the perfect solution.
E
Come on,
niente.
give it a try.
Lo provo. Abbraccio. Abbracciamo questo secchio.
Can you feel it? The glow of comfort, even in the face of crushing despair, must already be sweeping through your body. And in fact, can I say that I do believe the bucket lends you an air of charisma as well? I think that just holding it has made you the slightest bit more attractive as a person. The benefits of the bucket seem to go on and on, don't they? All this and more await you in the Stanley Parable 2.
Quindi mo camminerò con un secchio in giro?
Does anyone give out awards for most enjoyable bucket in a video game? That really should be an award if it isn't already.
Avevo letto da qualche parte una porta con su scritto exit. Epilogo. campione del mondo di impostazioni. Cambia le impostazioni. E che metto? Che ne so io?
This is
Controlla tutto bene? Allora, c'è il campo visivo, la sensibilità della telecamera che l'ho dovuto mettere a 0, altrimenti sboccavo. Mostra reticolo. Non so che significa mostra reticolo. Ah, c'è il puntino al centro. No, per l'amor del cielo. Mostra etichette colori. Mostra avvertenze contenuti. Ah, no. Riduzione di movimento. Modalità destrezza ridotta. Camminata automatica. Niente? E non... Cioè, non penso che cambi qualcosa. Qualità? Bassa? No, stavo per fare torno al menu. È che non cambia un cazzo, detto proprio onestamente. Cioè, non cambia proprio nulla. Applica risoluzione. Mantieni risoluzione. Non sei il campione delle impostazioni, magari su comandi. Reset associazioni comandi. Comandi semplificati. Sì. Non c'è il salto. Boh. Vabbè, non saprei. Achievement gratis. Ci stava un luogo dove diceva... Ecco questa. Era qua? No, non era qua. Che diceva... Exit, eccolo là. Andiamo.
all right. Have you seen everything you wanted to? Ready to move on now?
Sì. È una valigetta questa.
So, Stanley, what do you think? Do you like all of the new features? Yes, I know it's not exactly clear yet how exactly these features will come together as one single coherent video game, but I can feel it in my soul. it's going to work. There's definitely a good game in there somewhere. Say, let's do an experiment. I'll arrange these new features together, and we'll see whether or not it coheres into a meaningful gameplay experience. Okay, are you ready? Here it is. I give you the Stanley Parable 2.
Ma ha messo tutto insieme?
Well, I mean, there's potential here, right? It's sort of... Okay, never mind. Hold on, let me do a different arrangement.
Ma ha messo tutto insieme?
This is much better. I feel good about this. Here we go. Version 2.
Ha messo 2 buchi.
Who am I kidding, Stanley? This isn't a coherent video
Il
game at all.
buco
It's a
dentro
lot
al
of
cerchio.
gags. And I do very much enjoy creating gags, but they don't add up to anything. I wanted more than anything to create a sequel that would capture all the magic of the first game. I wanted fans to love it. No matter how good these gags are, they won't stand on their own. They would need the structure and the gameplay of the original. Wait, maybe that's it. I can take the original Stanley Parable and simply, well, insert a few of my new features into it. Tastefully, of course. With respect. With care for the vision and integrity of the original game. Would it possibly work? I suppose it could. But it would need a really, really tremendous title screen. A title screen that says with bold and uncompromising conviction, "This is the Stanley Parable 2. Let me see if I can whip something up. All right, perfect. Go ahead. Take a look.
Dove? È comunque geniale cambiare il gioco così. È geniale. È geniale. Clicca per saltare. Mi ha messo tutte le cose. Mi ha messo tutto insieme.
He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day of every month of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-rending, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job. And Stanley was happy. And then one day, something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company.
Una domanda ne ho una, ma quindi mi ha messo veramente pure il bucket da abbracciare. E che me ne faccio del bucket?
Frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office. All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean?
Hanno aggiunto i palloncini e avrà aggiunto pure il bucket. Eccolo qua.
Stanley picked up the bucket.
Che me ne faccio del bucket così? Cioè, non ha senso.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest. This was not the correct way to the meeting room. But Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him.
No, Bibi, non mi sto lamentando, sto cercando di capire. Cioè, cosa mi dovrebbe servire adesso? Ah, cioè, in questo momento
No, said the bucket. Don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. The cargo lift, yes. Go there. Go to the cargo lift.
Aspetta, ma questo non c'era prima. Questo non c'era. Ah, questo non c'era prima.
You found one of them. One of the miniature Stanley figurines. Remember, no reward for collecting all of these.
Nessuna
Only
ricompensa se ne
treasure
figli
of a
tutte.
job well done. You can't buy that sort of happiness, Stanley. God knows I've tried. So, I implore you to savor each and every moment you come across one of these beautiful
Lo
figurines.
assaporo tutto. Ma è bellissima. Ma quindi mi stai dicendo che mi hai dato un'altra strada? Quindi c'è un modo per scendere. C'è un modo per scendere qua. C'è un modo per scendere. C'è un modo per scendere. Va bene, ma questo lo scopriremo la prossima volta. Dai. Oh mio Dio. Torna al menù. Non so se salva, come salva, se salva, in che modo salvi, non ne ho idea. Non ne ho idea, ma lo scopriremo la prossima volta. Lo scopriremo la prossima volta. Inutile ma bellissimo, stupendo. Dai, continuerò la prossima volta questo gioco. Ci vediamo domani sera. Ma che carino. Chi? Io? Hai messo noi vicino alla chat? Sì. Ciao. Ciao. Sì, ma scusami, lo scopo era questo, diciamo. Allora, il problema ne è uno, è che io lo volevo questo, ok? Però effettivamente non sapevo come sfruttarlo appieno. Questa è la prima idea che mi è venuta, poi chissà, potrei avere altre bellissime idee ed usarle. Chi potrebbe dirlo? Potrei mandarti sulla luna. Così. Ma vediamo. Vuoi che gli faccio i contorni bianchi? Perché dovresti vestirti di contorni di colori chiari. Faccio così. Sono senza capelli con te da dietro. Il problema è che io sarò sempre scuro, perché io vesto sempre scuro. È raro che io mi vesto con bianco o altro. Faccio così, faccio prima. No, tranquilla comunque. Va benissimo così com'è l'immagine. Ti regalo una camicia hawaiana. Io non porto camicie, mio. Nemmeno nelle riunioni ultra mega importanti ho indossato le camicie. Non mi avrete mai. Nemmeno ai matrimoni. E l'ho triggerata. Signori, io vi ringrazio per la compagnia, vi ringrazio per essere rimasti qua fino a... aiuto. Per il mio compleanno c'è il dress code. Ops, non me la... penso che... No, ma comunque scherzi a parte, io non ce l'ho camicie. Cioè, veramente, se ti apro la mia... non c'è. Non esistono. Ho una camicia pronta per te. No, mio. Mannaggia la miseria. Andiamo dai cosi, dai gatti, dai. Porca miseria. Buonanotte e ci vediamo domani sera. Bonsoir. Ciao. Sì, il vestitino.